none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Public comment. Move on to the consent agenda. There are 3 items for the consent agenda. You have minutes from last meeting and the special board meeting that we had back in June, and then also the ledger of financial statement. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Birdsong.
Second.
Second, Mr. Brookshire. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Bills?
The gym floor, was that both floors?
I really don't know. I'm sorry. It is just for this gym. It is
I don't
just for
think
this
they
gym.
do that.
I don't
I'm sure
think they
it's
do
just-
this one at all, but I had to think about what you're talking about. All the work they did was up here.
Yeah, it's for one gym.
What's the status? It hasn't been too long ago that they've done all that, has it? Well, it might be 4 or 5 years.
My
Yeah,
yesterday
it might
was,
have been 4 or 5 years.
my other day was 2 years ago, so.
I just don't want it, I know that we let it go for a
I
long
can check on
time.
that.
See what Carl will know.
Whenever
We had a guy
we did
here.
that gym, the major overhaul, we did this one as well.
I just, you don't want it to slip out of
Yeah.
sight and
Yes.
get in bad shape.
We had a guy here midway through the year when we had some dead spots up here and we wanted to check on that. And so this would be a guy to do some major work on our gym floor. So I know he came and looked at both floors. So I know that, I don't recall what specifically he said. I know we had maybe 10 more years before we really need to do a major overhaul up here. But I'll check with Carl and see what he said about this.
Just don't want it to slip out of the
Exactly,
sight.
sure.
I'd like to ask a couple of informatory questions on these, some of these bills, just, it's not that I just don't know,
Yeah.
so I'm just trying to learn everything on here. So this Hilliard Springfield, you know, says this applies for the school year. We buy that stuff by the year from these people? Is there a contract we have with them? Has anybody checked?
No, this has just been the typical protocol that they just buy all the yearly supplies at the beginning of the year. It's all stored at the bus barn and then we just use it.
So is that why we have 18 pallets of toilet paper at the bus barn? I hate for that thing to get flooded out one day, or a tornado come by, or,
Sure.
you know.
I'm assuming better pricing for buying bulk, but.
We're
good point.
assuming.
It's a good point.
They've been buying from Hilliard for
A long time.
a long time.
Sure.
I don't know anybody's ever really checked.
Okay.
And I know there's 100 other companies that will be happy to sell you toilet paper, paper towels, and trash bags. Just, you know, unless the school district has some kind of contract and there's a kickback or
Wouldn't have,
rebates or something on that end of it.
wouldn't have a count.
But it's worth doing some investigation on.
Okay.
I know, just from my part of the business I've been in, there's a lot of profit in paper goods. So, so that would be something I would be interested to do. And on this open deal, can you explain to me where are we at with Open? What is our deal with Open? I mean, I see we're writing the big checks. I don't know how that works. I'm not sure what we're paying for, what they do.
Well, I know we have one more year on the contract and then we'll go off of it.
No, I get that. I know
That's-
I mean, Open's used by most people. I'm just trying to figure out what their,
What do we get, what we pay?
We pay them per lunch or per breakfast.
So-
They charge us an amount for the lunch and the breakfast.
okay,
That's how we pay them.
I got
So
you.
when you see that bill, that's for however many ate lunch, however many ate breakfast, for the period of time between the checks.
But you're gonna see a difference in what we charge to what they charge us.
Yeah,
because we're behind.
We're behind. I've learned that. So
We're behind a month, always, if not more. This one's got summer school and part of.
Oh, no, he's
last
talking
year.
about the price they charge compared to what we're paying.
Yes, I know,
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
but
that's
because
what-
this check is 25,000, that's summer school plus part of the school last year,
Okay.
okay?
And then
Normally that check's about 19,000.
But on summer school, kids have to take it, and they have to take lunch? Is that,
They have to take lunch, don't have to
They
get
don't have to, no. I mean, it's a choice. They want to take a lunch, they bring a lunch if
They
they
can
want.
bring their own lunch.
Sure.
Okay. Did not.
You think that's different?
I do believe that from all the years my kids have been in summer school, they were told they have to get it, whether they eat it or not, throw it away. And I don't know if that was because
There
of,
was
Over time,
programs.
there was programs.
Yeah, that was
Some
like
for free
COVID
lunch.
related.
So if that was a free lunch, then yes, that's probably that program.
They had to take a
They
train.
took a trade.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, that's how that would work.
this Wiley fencing for 15,800, is that for the total job they did?
And it's down here.
No, this one,
And that check has not been sent out.
It's down here. It's for this area
Parking
back
lot.
behind the parking lot behind the
there's
ag.
2 gates on it that are pretty pricey.
No, I didn't see, I haven't seen Wiley fencing did,
We
so.
Now,
approved
before
that
you
before
came.
you were on the,
Okay.
before you were on the
Now,
board.
what about the repairs down here? Is that on us? I meant to ask that last time.
Yes, we
Really?
submitted it to music, and they said that really what happened was because we added the, even though they did it, we added the, I can't think of the
fabric.
word.
Wind screens.
Yeah, the screen.
Called it a
Then they
night job,
said
though.
it compromised it, it made it so that it wasn't the strength
I
it
think-
should have been.
I wanna say it was act of
Mhm.
poor installation, but
So I said, are you gonna make sure when you install
I'll
it
let-
in that we have the proper support? And she said, yes.
Matt would know more about that.
Are they gonna get that done before school starts?
Yes, the last I spoke to her was last Friday when she was supposed to give me a date this week.
So they should-
And so I sent back out to her today and said, hey, do you have an update on that installation time? So it should be really quick here.
But
what I'm saying?
that amount is for a check that we approved for this location back here. that hasn't been done
Okay.
yet. Yeah, safety grant.
Yes.
I was thinking
That's
about
what
that.
is.
I was on safety grant.
Okay, that's fine.
There was like 80,000.
The rest of it, I mean, a lot of times this stuff, most of it's self-explanatory, but there are some things you want to
Sure.
kind of drill
This is
down
the-
into
This is the time to ask.
Yeah.
to
You're good.
understand.
Even on the, what is the fence repair estimate up there? Did they give an
I
estimate?
want to say 8 or 9. I haven't looked at it
9,000.
lately.
I think,
Somewhere in there.
I think we approved
Put it
that
out.
as well, didn't we?
I think so.
And
It's not
yeah.
9 grand,
Yeah.
9,200 or something?
We have it in
How
there.
much?
Yeah, and I don't remember what it was, okay, but, and insurance said that.
They said because we put the screen on it, it compromised it, and therefore when that wind took it down, it really was
But didn't-
not covered by their.
And this is the same, were you trying to turn it into our insurance?
Yeah.
And this is the same insurance that says you gotta have 2 people in a vehicle and all this, and they won't cover that?
Yeah.
There you go.
Same one, Tony.
Okay.
If you figure all this out, Tony, you let us know.
That's the one.
That's the one.
I'm sure they're cashing our checks monthly quickly.
Absolutely.
I mean, Wiley installed the
Yes.
screen.
I know, that's what I said. You
They
put
did the whole
screen
bill.
on it.
They did the whole bill.
And so,
I mean,
We added that screen later, but then if that was
If it
going
was
to be
gonna
an issue,
compromise
they
the
should have
integrity
said.
of
you
the
should have
fence,
told us.
they
I
should
felt
have
the
said-
same
It's
way.
really tall, there's a lot, big wind hit that.
And there's a lot of wind down here in the valley.
Normally it wouldn't do that, but it.
It wasn't on
we had a
there.
neighbor.
We did, we had a big wind there. Big.
So our insurance doesn't cover accident, Doug? Yes? Like the tornado?
Not that one.
So if a tornado, if it would've blew this building down, it would've fell underneath the same.
Yeah,
Tornado will be covered.
Just the fence because it wasn't quoted with the screen on it to start with.
That's right.
They're
let me,
saying-
let me
I'm
look.
along, I'm with Matt on
Let me go
that.
No,
back,
I-
because
I-
Matt, you
I
know where I
agree
am, is I'm
100%.
thinking about what Wiley said about the warranty. But let me check on what music said about let me check on that. Because I submitted it, but I don't recall, do you, Jeannie? Do you recall any feedback on that?
Maybe Wiley's the one who said it.
Wiley's the one who said that.
Okay,
Yeah, so let me check on that and get back to you, because
I remember that.
I'm not sure I know the answer to that one. You know, I just don't, I'll have
I
to check
just
back
know
into
that-
them.
I just know if they're saying that they don't cover.
When?
No,
I
exactly.
mean, I've got a $100,000 wind claim right now, my insurance paid before, so, I mean, it's.
I just haven't
You
thought about
think
this.
you're paying.
I haven't
I
thought about
already- I
this
got
for a
the
little
check.
bit.
You'll pay back later.
Maybe. They're gonna pay it up front. So, I mean, that wind damage should be covered.
Yeah. you-
I mean,
Yeah, let me check on it tonight,
Did
tomorrow
you get a
morning.
new roof through all this hail and wind?
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no difference.
No, you might be right, truly, I was thinking about what
Okay.
Wiley had told
Well,
us.
then Wiley should, shame on them.
They were the ones I was frustrated at, so let me check on
And
music.
we've already awarded them another contract.
That was before.
Well, it was before, yeah.
So the next time we need fencing, let's make sure we're,
Pre-win.
Well, problem is, they were the only ones that did.
okay, well, but don't mean we can't.
I know.
Sometimes you gotta get a bigger shovel, Josh.
I got it.
Sometimes you just gotta get a bigger shovel. I think that was all, Mike. The rest of it was fairly much self-explanatory on the bills.
Any other questions? Motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Shear. Second, Mr. Thompson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0.
I was, I could see where I sent it to them, and I can't see feedback, so I'll check in with them tomorrow and see what I have, but I see the claim that I sent in, so I probably just don't. Well, I would think they would.
Yeah, I
now that
think
I
that
about it.
was,
Our deductible would be about $5,000, probably.
It's still five.
Yeah.
Saves 4 or 5.
I agree, I'm just saying, I think it's $5,000.
Yeah. That's kind of the general deductible on
Thank you.
businesses.
I wish mine was only $5,000.
did we do any inspections on anything else as far as hail damage or roofs or anything through these storms? Has any of that taken place?
It has not.
Probably something that we should be looked at as much weather
As
as
much
we've
as-
had in the last
Yeah.
3,
Sure.
'Cause they
4
were all
months.
Yeah,
I'll have a 10-year warranty. We can't get them down there to fix the one spot that they,
but we do have
And we
paperwork.
have,
but we do have our attorneys on it, whatever that means.
whatever that means. Did you get feedback today? From Grant?
They never call me back,
Yeah.
but that's
We're working
okay,
on it.
cause I got plenty
It's
of time to
process.
call them again tomorrow. I will bug them till they give me an answer.
We got a bill for it,
And
but I
know
said I've never gotten
Jeannie
a
can be a
letter.
bulldog, so we'll get there.
And so I'm like,
Is that what
I
they
don't
do?
Don't bill us
trying
for a
so
letter
hard
we've
to
never
get
seen.
the letter.
They're like $330.
Yeah,
And I said, hold on, don't pay that, because I haven't seen that letter. I don't know where we are, and I keep asking for feedback. So we're going a different route now, to see what the feedback is, and where we stand on that with Williams. I can call Williams today too, just to say. come
Williams
out.
roughly not to say them, but we had our attorney send them a letter and said, it's time for you to honor your warranty and get down there and fix that. They won't turn
Are they
around.
I've called them
business?
repeatedly.
Yep.
Are they?
but they should give us a copy of whatever letter they sent for our file.
Right.
Yeah.
So we haven't received anything.
Right.
Yeah, we should have.
You need to see what has happened.
No
We gotta
letter,
see
no
where we
dots.
stand. Right.
You bet.
I'm already. I hope to
Generally, that's where it breaks down.
all the technology that could be a possibility.
Their phone's probably a house, they can't just.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I do call and email regularly.
You ready for your report?
I think so.
Okay.
Not a big report, just a few items, I guess, this month. Just want to mention that we're starting to prepare for the audit, which will be September 5th and 6th. I sent out a staff survey with just all kinds of questions, and I kind of spoke to it a little bit more on the backside. Just questions about all kinds of topics, from PD, ideas about what those days could look like. I asked them if they knew what our staff mission was, what do they believe that to be? Great qualities of our school, biggest challenges, worries, leadership team ideas, questions about our learning environment, parent involvement, staff events, activities, community resources, priorities for the upcoming year. And so I've gotten some phenomenal feedback. It's just been really a great opportunity to just have some good conversation. I've had a couple of them, I put on there, if you'd like to meet with me and sit down and visit, I'd welcome that. So I've already met with a couple of staff, have a couple more, and just having really good team building kinds of conversations. So I've been really, really excited about just that feeling that we're getting back from the staff. And then we'll use that to set up some programming, set up maybe our PD days, look at how we're going, some things that they would like, in a way to maybe do this so that We're doing it more in a team and responsive manner. And so that's been a really good happening here in July. Just kind of checking on certifications right now, making sure things are up to date, getting hold of any staff that still need to do those kinds of things are happening right now. Lonnie's been updating buses, their needs, and prepping for the fall. I mentioned Wiley fencing and those things. Now we've got this ordered and this should be coming, but I'll need some feedback whenever you guys kind of can think about what we want to do with the parking lot down here, because right now I've just told them we're on hold for this parking lot until we figure out what we want to do there. Cameras are up and running. Wanted you guys to know that because there was a time that some of that was not running. They are up and running inside and outside of the building. Carl is taking care of that effervescence that was on the wall down there. He's got some materials he's been using to work on that, to take it off, to cover it up, or to repaint it. And so that's looking pretty good. The waxing of the floors is nearly complete. They look good, don't they? Just really makes you excited that you're ready for school year. Last of the classrooms will be cleaned, and we anticipate Friday, July 26th being when the building's done, so.
With Wi-Fi and stuff at the ball, the
Yep.
baseball field, we're gonna get cameras
Yep.
everywhere.
Yep.
Okay.
We're gonna get camera up there too, and yeah, the Wi-Fi's up there, we've got a phone up there, and so we'll be all going there. I was told there is a camera up there already, so.
There
we're
is
working
one
on
on
that.
the bus barn.
Yeah, the bus barn, baseball.
Uh-huh.
That's, we
One
get
on the
some on
field.
the concession stands, since
Yeah.
we have a little activity there.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Um,
which we were able to find information on our cameras,
Yeah.
so I wanted you all to know they are up and running and they serve well.
Yeah,
Good.
Of course, you saw the parking lot, but that's been sealed and lines painted. Tech updates every day. I mean, even Dave called me this afternoon. He's just constantly working, doing so many upgrades. I'm so excited for our staff to come back in and not only have a working device, but the speed on it. We've increased our speed through Show Me, and you can tell when you just touch it, it just shoot through things. So I'm just, talk about a 180, you know? Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I think we might have a few hiccups because we've got a lot of newer computers being installed, and so making sure that people have documents on here that, you know, and I know Zane and I have talked about that, making sure if this teacher has documents on there that we don't just lose that. We know where that computer is, if they still need to go back and get documents or come in and getting it, and just being careful of those kinds of things. But so many great upgrades. I'm just thinking of where we were last year with communication all the way around, from phones to, radios to computers.
The whole
Just,
building.
oh my goodness, we're in such a different place going into this year, really setting up our staff and students for some success. And I'm excited for that, and giving teachers what they need, you know, to do what they're paid to do. And then we're gonna plan, I know you're excited about this, another fall bus cleanout day. We wanted to do more last year, but we got busy with other things. So we'll do a fall cleanout day again and see if we can move some more things out of there. I already mentioned that survey. Student registration is scheduled for Tuesday, August 6th from 1 to 7, and Thursday, August 8th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're gonna have a staff and family pool party, so just for staff and their families. On July 29th, we found a pool, so I was excited about that would allow, you know, was able to get us in. August 7th, we'll have a new staff work day and just give the new staff a chance to get acquainted with our procedures and our practices. Hopefully we'll find a way to take a tour of Newburg, but I realize Lonnie's on vacation that week. So I'm working on that, but I think we're gonna go have some barbecue in Rolla that afternoon with our new staff, and just get a chance to work with them, work with the administrators, and get them acclimated before everybody else gets in. August 12th through the 16th will be a staff work week in preparation for the students to return on August the 20th, and we'll have our open house on Thursday, August 15th from 4:30 to 7.
What, question, and maybe this isn't time, not place, all the back to school are those out, have they been put out, or any of them might?
You're talking about just supply list?
Yeah.
They've been posted since probably April on our website. So I've actually thought I put that on Facebook earlier this summer.
Yeah, but I mean, my Eva was like, I don't even know what I got to get. And I'm like,
Okay,
well,
we'll get it out when we
let me
get.
check. So you might just reiterate that, you know,
Well, and to send people to our website, they tend to go to Facebook for all information, they don't always go to our website. So I know we're gonna get, I know somebody asked the other day, when's the first day of school, and I thought, well, maybe I ought to go ahead and put that out. We put out registration, but we did not say, you know, school starts, we have our calendar there, but you know. So I thought, we'll put a few of those things, so I'll make sure we
Okay,
include that as well.
just, it's more informational for everybody.
Absolutely.
Hey, we need to make sure they're, have many of different options to find those things, because
Absolutely.
you know what will happen. Walk over there, and say,
I didn't know I needed to know, I didn't need a pencil.
Exactly.
We'll get that done.
Would it be possible for us to get a copy of the upcoming class schedule and teachers and what we're doing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Let me do that in our August.
I thought I asked a responsible person for that.
You did, you messed it all up.
Yep. You're really talking more, are you talking 7 through 12 or?
You know, he probably had his mind on playing the trumpet, really got distracted.
Practice clarinet.
I'm sorry,
Shifted.
Miss Kingsley.
Are you talking about K-12 or 7-12?
All of it.
You just want to know who's teaching what, so who's staff what?
We've got so much of new people,
Yeah.
and then just, if we've done changes with our classwork.
Well, and I've sent that out to the staff, but I haven't sent it to you guys.
Appreciate it.
I'll send that to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I would include Matt too, but don't send it to them.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't say it.
Tracy, is there any other things that come to your mind that we need to address for your staff that, you know, I think you guys, last meeting, you know, I want to make sure we gotta give them the right tools so we can.
Darn right.
We can have the right expectations, and I just want to make sure we're trying to, within our realm, obviously,
Yes.
we are, make sure there's nothing that they may need that has not been addressed, so
Right.
if you want to ponder on that.
I will. I feel like we're giving them, the increase from last year of what we're giving staff is so vastly improved. I feel really good about that, but yet you want to keep going, so new things will present themselves, and so we'll just kind of keep that in mind. But right now, some of the things that, some of our new staff are coming in and saying, what resources do I have? What textbooks do I have? What things are here? Some things are present and some are not. I'm not going to even beat around that bush.
Right.
Some things left with staff,
Surely
disappointingly,
not.
but they did. And so there's going to be some purchasing of materials, maybe textbooks or documents or pieces of resources from different places. That's going to come through, and we have said, what do you need? So we want to support that, you know, that as those things come through. We will be working on writing curriculum so that eventually that will be housed in district. And if somebody leaves, our curriculum stays here. They can copy and take the pieces they've made by all means, but that we don't
The
walk
core
away
of it
to
stays
have
in.
nothing. Yeah. So a new teacher comes in and they still have those resources that are in there. So those are probably the next step of needs of where we are right now, is just making sure they have the actual resources to teach their classes.
Good.
And then, you know, I think just support. You know, anything we can do this year to just provide support. We've got new staff, we want them to stay. We want to create a culture that says, man, I've never lived Newburg, that's the best place to be ever. So anything that we can be thinking of in that realm, I think is important. We're kicking off with a staff pool party and hopefully start to build some camaraderie among our staff, but just as we
Absolutely.
cruise through. Maybe there's
And
events
something
or
else,
different things that we could do as a
Some
board.
little
you
small
know.
things like that will go a long ways.
Mhm.
Just
Even just
keeping everybody together.
a come in every once in a while. Maybe we just have a couple of times this year where come in and have breakfast with the staff on a
Well, we
cool
need to
day or
make sure that we
something.
sponsor, because on your PD day before the classes time, we need to sponsor a breakfast for staff.
Okay, sure,
I think,
sure,
and it'd be nice if we could, some of us be here, like we've done in the past,
yeah,
those kind of things.
sure. We'll keep that in mind then as we go along. That first day back, I always think is the best day to do that, because it's just that first walk in the door.
So I
They
don't
haven't
mean-
gotten close to Wednesday night yet. They're not at Monday or Tuesday, but they're just the first day back. That's a good day. We were planning to have a big breakfast that day. So that could be a day if you all are around to be able to maybe sponsor that day and come that day.
Does PTO offer like each teacher like $100 to help with classroom stuff?
I don't think they have, I've not heard of that this year, but I'm not saying they wouldn't if we presented that to them. I don't know what their funds are like. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I had actually talked
But
to
even
Shannon
if it was
the other day.
$50.
Yeah,
So-
and it's a
Something,
$50 gift card to
there's a $50
Walmart
gift
to
card to
go
put
buy
stuff
some
on
things.
for your classroom,
Right.
what you need for, whether you wanna decorate your classroom or you need more clean access, we don't care, whatever.
Oh, look at that, he's gonna take care of that.
Well done, I'll just go ahead
Well
and check that off my list.
That's probably the first.
He's gonna go home and say, "You know what idea I have
Down in
today?"
4 years.
You know what?
And you know what?
Ford.
You can take the credit.
Nope, that's PTO from Darla.
It
I
just
appreciate
kinda,
you
it's just
asking
kinda
that
nice when
question.
you
I
have
really
that,
appreciate
you
it.
know, cause then,
Yeah,
you know, you're like, oh, I have $50 or I have $100 just to spend on whatever for my classroom.
Right.
It's kinda
right, because sometimes you
a breath
think,
of fresh air
from
to.
teaching many, many years, there's certain things I'd send through a requisition system, and certain things I feel like, no, I just want that.
I just want that.
Yeah, but I don't feel like the school should pay for it, also
Well,
I'd like to
can
take
tell
it
you,
with me,
she
things like
said in the
that.
past that it's very rare that anybody comes and asks PTO for money.
Mm.
So,
Well, I
Maybe a
think if we
conversation we could
just
open.
surprise them and say, guess what? PTO is
That'd be a nice,
giving back to our teachers.
back to
and-
school, maybe they could come even introduce themselves.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
I mean, those are the things that we, that's what we start talking about, changing the culture.
Yeah.
That could possibly be.
These are just little things that change the culture.
Right.
Well, and PTO might be willing to provide breakfast on that day too.
like that before.
You know what I mean?
They
So,
can.
and then.
I can remember
everybody-
cooking probably 30 pounds of hamburger for taco bar day.
So when are you doing the taco bar, which day?
Long
Look what he just got into.
You know that you can. I'm not gonna make 10 gallons of gravy though.
That was almost as long
Oh,
as
gosh.
we were cooking hamburgers for the shooting range.
Oh, and that was, yeah.
Yeah.
I've already passed that on to the new coach.
Every day she works.
I'm sure I'll
Yeah,
still be
expect-
involved, Adam.
No problem, buddy. I'll hear the shooting from my house.
Thanks, buddy.
Anyways, I wanna make sure we're,
Yes.
we can't hold our expectations up here if we don't at least make sure we're supporting them down here to get to those expectations. So,
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
wonderful, thank you.
thank you.
Doug, you haven't said a word tonight, are you okay?
Excuse me. Yeah, good.
He's just
It's
thinking
been
about all
rather
the,
quiet.
he's just been thinking about all the responsibilities he
Well,
didn't do.
Fall sports, and we put that out there, haven't we, when they start practices?
I don't know.
I haven't seen anything.
Facebook page yet, but we probably should be putting that out.
I know, but
It's
they
gonna
was
be
already.
pretty- pretty early in August.
It's August 12th, I think.
Yeah, and then junior high will start.
19th,
week later.
19th, I think the 19th.
Yeah.
We'll get that out
If
today.
Don't need.
Appreciate you bringing up the sports.
I'd say we need to put it out there, because we're gonna need physicals if they
Yes.
don't have them.
Absolutely.
And now go 2
They
years.
have times.
Yeah.
They have to pay.
But
That's fine.
we're gonna put it out there.
Do you guys have someone that comes and does the pre-physicals?
We have not for a while.
I bet if we contracted Angie Watkins, she would do it, like she could do it here.
Can you send me
A
contact
lot of
info?
times they want you to come to the office now. They'll do it
She
free.
They-
she went to Salem. and did
Yeah, they
it
still
a
go to
couple
school
weeks ago.
and do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
She will come to it.
I think they just have them. at
Great.
college.
You said
We-
Angie
we-
Watkins?
Yeah, Angie Watkins, she's with
She's a top one.
Phelps Health. But Rolla, I think, had 3 dates throughout the summer that kids could go, 3 different dates, but, I know she, like Salem, but I think if you talk with her and scheduled a time, she could probably get a couple more people too, that
Sure.
they could run them through.
Okay.
I'm
And
glad
then
you
it's
brought
free.
that up, Darla, because I did see that, and I was thinking, with all the doctors, they got, between Mercy and Phelps, because, our
At least a chance to go to the doctor and get it.
impoverished district could probably,
Use some help.
Benefit from that. Sure.
our kids could certainly benefit from something
Sure.
along that
Yeah.
line.
Absolutely.
I'll see if I can find her
Yeah,
contact info.
and we
might
could,
reach out to
and
you.
Four Rivers might do it too. I mean, cause Four Rivers, that's kind of what,
That's kind of what they
that's
do.
the population that
Yes.
they serve. So they would probably be willing as well.
And I've been around long enough, you always get kids to show up for a sport, and like, why
I didn't
I
get a
didn't know I had
physical,
this.
and then they
I
can't
didn't know I
play.
needed one, or
Yeah.
my parents didn't know where to get one, or couldn't get one.
Right.
We don't want
No.
that to be a reason for
Not to go
a
play.
student
Start.
not be able to come out and have a
Play sports.
play sports. Okay.
I think so. That's what I think.
You got anything, Mr. Dunn? I know we're kind of putting you on the spot, but how are things going for you?
Pretty good so far. I mean, other than going through the handbook and discussing some of those changes, you know, the discipline code and attendance. And so far, we should start next week, but then in a little bit here and there, just trying to chip away and get a head start.
Has office set up?
Yeah, the office set up. You know, I had a teacher roundtable beginning of the summer. I scheduled a student roundtable for August 1st. And so I asked some teachers, like, what students would you recommend to be a part of that? And so a week or so ago, I sent out 16 letters to different students inviting them to participate in a roundtable where I could just hear their thoughts on the school, pro and con, and just hear their ideas and give them a voice. So that'll be coming up pretty soon. Actually, it's next week, I guess.
Yeah.
Next week.
Very good,
So
awesome.
we covered, everything covered on the facilities, and we do that pretty much.
Well,
We'll
we
get to
haven't,
that.
we ain't gotten to it yet.
We ain't
but-
got, okay.
Well, but
That's it.
I didn't have a lot other than to just say some of the things that we have
Yes.
upgraded. I think we've covered probably most of it. I know I was waiting for, you know, what maybe feedback I could get on what I need to do down here.
The
on
propane,
ag
the
lot.
propane tank, from everything I've gathered, yeah, and that was a question I was gonna ask.
What was that?
What size tank? We think it's 1,000-gallon tank. 1,000-gallon tank is why they have the 25-foot requirement from property lines.
Okay.
If we drop to a 500-gallon tank, then I mean, that moves to 10 foot,
Oh,
which would be a lot better. But I don't know if 500 gallons will supply what we need to do.
What is that, just for the ag building?
Yes, and I don't know what in there is
Just the
supplies.
shop.
So I think it's just the shop. I think
Just
it's
the
what
shop.
we're talking
No,
about,
it's
the shop.
all.
Is the whole building, Matt? Oh,
Right.
Yes, but it's hooked to that tank.
it's only tank there, though.
Okay.
So I don't know if that
500
would be
may not-
feasible
Does the
to
whole-
do. That holds.
They weren't always on their own tank.
Well, my thought is,
I'm
what's
asking-
yours?
I'm asking.
That, because the front part of the building's been heated for a long time, it's just,
I don't think they were, I don't know.
Okay.
On that for sure.
I have no idea. My assumption is that it could be that the front is still covered with the old line. The shop would be covered with the new tank. I have no idea if that's right.
Because the tank is further back in the lot, so it's more towards the new section.
Yeah.
It is.
But for schools, churches, assembly type places is where those restrictions come into play.
I see.
And it has to be 25 foot off the property line?
I'm assuming so. What's that?
It has to be 25 foot off the other property line too?
Yes. Buildings and property lines, and then also the
Power
overhead power.
I know the power line was the main reason why it had to get moved in the first
Yeah.
place. But I had thought when I drove in, I didn't realize how close that property line was on that other side.
Yeah.
If we was to put it there, along that property line, bring the fence behind it, and then put some uprights when we pave it, keep anybody from hitting it, we still be in, but it's gotta be,
Yeah, that's 25. Now, if we.
25 foot off that
for
one.
500,
That would-
that's
that would
feasible,
work.
but we don't want to fill it every other day.
no,
You know,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's the other part of it as well. Then I think that will adjust to 10-foot distance, which would help us tremendously.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to do a little bit more research on what that serves and then how often it's gonna have to be filled.
We kind of jumped from superintendent's report to facilities, that's it. We just naturally moved into this. Anything else on, any questions to administration at the moment? You've still got the handbook coming up, so we'll get to it. I think it was Lake
I think
Tree.
so.
It was Lake Tree.
I believe it was.
I think they got all tore out.
Mhm.
Okay. Can't, I don't know. I can't.
I'm pretty sure as well.
Oh.
No, I think you're correct.
It's all on Facebook.
I like the chair, but.
If I dumped you.
But they put a new,
I did notice my utility bill is substantially cheaper than what it always has been. Like,
The electric side of it.
Well, you've upgraded so many of these.
Units.
We've got a lot more energy efficient
Got a lot,
units.
a lot,
in
there's
it.
even
Lights,
some mini
all new
splits.
lights.
yeah.
Yeah,
Most
lighting
LEDs.
will tell
About,
me,
about time we start seeing a little bit.
You can see it. I mean,
so.
Any questions on facilities for anything? All our doors working for us, you know?
As far as that, there was a couple of issues they're working on with like this entry door. They've kind of been fooling with that, with sticking and
It
then.
sticks now.
Yeah, it's got some issues, but they're working on it. If you wanted to get a bid for that, I talked about the entryway down at the elementary.
Concrete steps.
I feel like it's just a dangerous spot because there's just no room when you're carrying bags to open the door and step back and try to get
Didn't
up
we
in
figure
there.
out that that would be covered under
Safety.
the safety?
Yeah.
It's already expired.
Oh.
That was just last year, yeah. I wish we had, yeah. Pretty close, I think so. Might have been a little wiggle room.
did we, well, I know we've talked a couple of times, but the sidewalk in the front of the building, are we gonna look at doing anything with that where it's fractured and?
I think there's some, like after graduation, that lady that felt like doing this. She took a bag, busted her head. They took it to
Oh,
the
my
hospital.
gosh.
She got pretty good loaded up, but there's a big hump right back here too. Might just need to draw from the facility.
Yep.
Mark some.
Put a board and a paper and a pen and just walk around.
Um, Oh, on the doors. Try to remind the staff maybe on the daily not to prop them open with a
Oh, right.
slam against a weight.
Dumbbell.
Because it just destroys it.
Well,
We've
they
got a
can't have them
fortune
open.
tied up in all these.
Yeah, and they can't have
They're
them
not
open, and
cheap.
that's something maybe to add to your faculty meeting at the beginning of the year. They just, I mean, it's a safety issue, you can't prop the door open.
So a lot of times you can drive around and you'll see they'll have a hula hoop on a handle on the inside going to the outside and keeps the doors from shutting. Well, I mean, that defeats the purpose of everything.
Every bit of it, yeah. We addressed that last year, and I hadn't heard much.
You talking about at any point, or you're talking about during the day?
During the.
Well, putting a weight down at the base of the door,
Yeah, I get
when that
that,
slams
yeah.
against it, it just destroys the frame, destroys
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, absolutely.
So just, yeah, pretty much, like if the gym needs to be on a timer where it's open for, it's unlocked for,
Something I noticed about the gym, that back door, that center support for the two doors, the upper part of it has one screw holding it in, and it's loose as can be. I haven't heard
That's
it
from
with
the-
my fingers.
I remember
I
that.
know, that's what it's
that's
from.
from the weight, I mean, it's.
So that probably needs to be looked at.
They did that last year, they had to put, well, I don't know, I think it has helped because our principal cracked down on it, but we have to stop the prop right there, because she just basically told us, like, I'll write you up if, basically. I mean, she
In the
did,
same
she
way.
just said, I've given you this direct
It's a big deal.
instruction,
It's tearing up the
and
doors.
I'm
I mean,
going to,
that's-
if I
and like
catch
Matt said,
you
got a
propping
small-
the
you got a
door,
small
then
fortune.
Somebody gets in.
I'll write you up.
It's 1,000 gallons.
That you weren't prepared for.
I thought it was
Got
good.
to.
They don't
I
realize
looked at
that.
it, just didn't call us through, that's what's
No.
like.
Oh, unbelievable. I can't even believe we bought
I don't know if we can.
Everybody's got a fob, there's absolutely no reason
Yeah.
to prop a door.
I don't,
There's
I
just
don't
no
have
reason
one
at all.
downside.
We don't even have fobs.
But we
Right.
will have
We
to,
have keys.
if
Right.
there's,
Do you think?
there's like an out-of-school practice or something, we'll have to come up with a solution, because it is easy to prop the back door open so the kids can come in and practice. And so we'll have to come up with a solution for that.
More than that.
Right, which used to be a kid stands there and lets them in.
We're not pulling that much.
You know, when I was
Yeah.
coaching, watch the door, let them in.
Watch the door.
But we can also, with many of our doors, set up timers and things for them to be unlocked for a period of time. So I think as we get Dave is he gets more things accomplished and can focus on those goals. And I think we'll be able to maybe utilize him for that too, so. yeah.
Okay. Any other things on facilities? Not, we'll move on. Our first of our action items. In your packet, you see our fuel bids. I believe we have only one bid for diesel, which is county fuels. $2.95, $2.94 point something.
2.94, I can't do it, 2.924.
That's really not a bid, I mean,
It's
they're
really
just,
not a bid. Just tell you what it is today.
MFA wouldn't bid on bulk fuel?
We haven't for years.
Really?
And this is a year by year, this.
No, he does a 3-year thing.
Oh, yes, I see it now.
We last year took it a one-year bid on it. That's what we
I
did
thought last time
Last
it
year,
was-
we gave him 1 year on it, but he always does a 3-year. Because he doesn't have to move his tank all the time.
So we're paying him the freight cost on top of the tax and the cost of fuel and that, so.
So there's no federal tax. I was wondering how that worked, I knew there would be some kind of tax benefit.
There's no federal tax, it's just state tax.
Just state.
It's state.
I mean, they've done as well on the surface.
They have.
They've not had no complaints with them, I've heard no complaints for them, so. I'd be okay to make a motion to accept their bid, for, unleaded, or for gasoline and diesel.
We don't buy any gasoline from
Yeah.
them, like.
Yeah, it's just diesel.
Just diesel.
I don't.
Whatever gas we give.
Yeah, he put it in there, yeah.
It's in there. We have a tank.
I think I'll use it for floaters.
I think that's it.
Wolf car.
Motion by Mr. Birdsong to accept county fuels proposal, second, Mr. Brookshire. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. Good.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
6-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should be. Propane.
I'm not voting against myself.
We have 2 bids for propane.
Okay.
We have 159 on barrel gas. I believe is what it's all,
155
155,
barrel.
sorry.
Yeah.
And then 149.9 hose.
That's who we're currently using.
Oh, we've used them for, I
For a long time.
don't know how long,
So-
Josh, but yeah, we've used Post.
And I thought it'd been a while.
And no complaints.
No complaints. That I know of.
I mean, in my dealings with them, they're usually they'll answer the phone if you have an issue. They'll take care of it. They're local.
I think they did that, found that leak over here.
Yeah, I mean, they part of
Found the
their
leak, they didn't fix the leak, but they found the leak.
pressure test the system.
Tested.
I'll make a motion to accept hose bid 149.9.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Mr. Shear to accept Post New City Gas Company's bid 1.499 for the 24-25 school year. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0.
Oh, I looked at that 3 times.
It's all right. So it's kind of like the schedule. It's kind of like that. Tuition rate.
I would explain tuition rate to me, how does it vary so much from district? How are they across the board?
It is honestly a question of mine too. I was shocked at it. I don't know why it's varied so much. It's something I want to look into. We all shared what our tuition rates were, and I kept thinking, why? I mean, it's cost to educate a child, but
Why it
I have to
varies
dig in a whole lot
because
more.
They want those other schools that send their kids to pick them instead of the other two schools that they
So
can pick
they'll
from.
take it
So they'll take the hit.
for the neighboring district.
For them to be able to, that school or those kids or those parents to come to your place instead of the other place.
Okay.
That-
I guess
that's-
it's just
that's
how
the main
much
drive.
money. Yeah.
We don't have anybody but Edgar that sends your kids, right?
Right.
And how many kids do you know how many kids we get from Edgar?
I want to say 7 or 8.
Yeah. 7 or 8. Our tuition is 9,000 currently.
Yes.
And we have, and that's the only tuition we charge is, because that's the only school we have.
And somebody interested in coming last year.
There'll be a parent here and there that will pay tuition for their kid to come. But that's far and wide between, they don't do it much. They don't have $10,000 to do that. Most people don't, won't. So, in your package, you see the neighboring schools. I think the lowest is like 6,500.
55.
Yeah.
Plato's
Plato's
55.
5,500. I saw, I think Richmond's 65, I saw it, been there for a long time.
We're going into 10-4.
And then, that was like 10,000, somebody else is 10,000.
And I wouldn't want to include Edgar in this if we did it for this next year, because we didn't let them know ahead of time, so we didn't budget for that. So, but I didn't want to not say anything. I think it's something we typically talk about being in the spring, and it just missed. I missed it, so we'll bring it up to you if we wanted to make a change.
Any thoughts? In your package, you see what it costs to educate a kid, it's about $11,441. Is that what you wrote in there?
That's it.
Isn't that what it was?
That's it.
So,
What is wrong with the chart?
They don't allow anybody to come into their district. They do not accept.
that's right.
District.
You know,
They do not accept it, so I don't know what that's. Moot point for that. Well, they would for, I guess, for Edgar, but I don't know what it is. I didn't ask him.
There's multiple kids in all the different
So those, yeah. Otherwise, if it's not those feeder schools, they don't allow. But I don't know. I didn't reach out.
When did they start doing that? 'Cause that Lily Harris, they've been there doing it when she was wrong.
I
But
just,
must have just started doing that. That's what-
There's a lot of
loopholes.
I just know last year it was stated that they do not.
They don't.
They do not. And I know, we had a family who wanted to bring a child here, and that was part of that conversation. That's really when I found out about that, because I hadn't had a reason to know before that point.
I didn't know.
Because I guess my question is, the parent has to pay and we're trying to get kids to come here. For one, if we're gonna charge proposed 11,000, then we're all gonna charge the 7,000. They're not coming.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I don't wanna price ourselves out.
Sure.
I guess would be my concern. I don't know if that makes sense or not,
I think it does.
but.
But I didn't want to skip over
Because
this and not at least
I
put it on
don't
our
like,
radar.
I don't like, because the other option for Anchor is Lee.
Yes.
And they're significantly
Yes.
cheaper.
We're doing everything we can
Yes.
to bring them in, so we don't want to make it, you know, that's the school that has to pay it.
Yeah, I know.
But
that,
still.
I mean, people know there'll be
They might.
conversations about that.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
Yeah, and they've got a choice between Lincoln and us, and there's 5,000 difference.
since we're not gonna change our feeder school.
Maybe no point.
We'll leave it like this.
yeah. Yeah. I would be the same, I'm okay.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
But we can do whatever, just an opinion.
Yeah.
Just a point.
Just-
You good with that?
Love it.
Okay, lovely.
Leave where it's at.
Now leave it where it's at? Okay. All right. substitute pay, in your packet is the recommendation. Can you get to that quickly, then? I can get there, I just can't see it.
Yeah. You see that better?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Good old paper.
Oh, I like paper.
Can't zoom in on that, Doug.
So for this last 23, 24 school year, our sub pay was $100 a day. Now, long term was $120 a day, which started on day 11. And then went on from there if they stayed longer than that. What she is recommending for us to go to is for sub pay to go 115 per day, and our long term to go to 135, starting at day 11. If you look down through the comparisons of Frisco League schools, excuse me, Iberia's at 115, Lakeway's at 125, Dixon's at 115, Licky's at 140, Proctor's at 130, Stoutland's at 150, Richland's at 110 per day. But they've got a little different for long term, but that's in per day stuff. So they'd be right pretty much in the middle of it. We stayed, if we went to the 115.
Ms. Kingley, do you know how many, just, sub hours we have last year?
I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but I would tell you it's way too many.
Okay.
Way unbelievable. So that's something we're addressing this year and gonna be,
Okay.
as we move forward, we just have too many subs. So, for example, one difference is in the past, if a teacher wanted to be gone or a staff member needed to be gone, they would contact Shannon. Shannon would find a sub. It was difficult. It was a real challenge for her because she didn't know what was going on in buildings.
Right,
In my experience, you would always contact your principal.
correct.
That will happen next year. So I think that's gonna help a little bit because
It's harder to
Just
call
think
your
about it.
principal than it is.
I just, it's a lot harder to call your principal than it is to contact Shannon.
Harder to ask dad than it is mom.
Yeah, right. So I feel like that, but I also think there's some other things that we've got in place that are just gonna bring people in on a regular basis, that make it feel a little different. So it's something we're gonna keep our eye really.
I mean, I realize things come up and our people.
There are always, yes,
You
That's also
know,
why we have 4 day week.
that's
We do.
true, that's why we have 4 day weeks.
we do, and you miss one of those, and that's 75% of your week. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a
And
big
you've got
deal to miss your
pretty
school
much
day.
3 Mondays a month if you need to make a, dentist appointment, doctor's
That's right.
Any
appointment.
kind of appointment.
Any kind of appointments, you've got 3 Mondays a month that you can go from 8 to 5 and.
One of the other things we
4 day
talked,
week was,
Should
that
be.
was, this was part of the decision.
it should be, and you know, to me, that's a big deal to get to come to a 4-day school week. Wow, you've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You've got days to do the other things, or to take a break, or whatever. But we also talked a little bit, I lost my train of thought, about building up your bank of days and then getting paid above those. I realized last year, partway through, there was a lot of staff that didn't realize they could do that. Well, there are staff members who get a nice little check in June every year because they're really careful and about not using their leave days. And after 4 or 5 years, they've got a little bank in there.
Right.
And so they're giving themselves a bonus every year by not using those days. So that's something I want us to make sure that we really drill home to our new staff, to build that bank, and also to our existing staff that are coming back that may not realize that.
All the possible perks.
Yes. So I think there's just things we can do better to help inform staff and then address it a little differently, and maybe some perks we get along the way. We're just monitoring and see how it starts out. Yeah.
We give a little, at the end of the year,
Mhm. Give a little something.
a little something, something for the people who have, perfect attendance.
Well, I know you really started pushing that
So, yeah, I think
last year, talking about staff.
We were recognizing it.
Things like that.
We did, we recognized, we gave some prizes away and did some things, and so I thought, let's kind of gauge it and see how the year starts, and then start really talking about it in our admin meetings if we see a problem developing again. Because I think we've got a couple of things going the right way, and now we'll just see how it plays out. But it's something we have to keep on the radar. I mean, it was a ridiculous number of some days in my opinion, just, wow.
Well,
That's just
I'm-
across the board, because even like Rolla, when we have our open meeting, they actually have a slideshow that shows how many hours and how much money, and it's like $1 million, like,
Maybe that's a great idea.
like to show like how much money was spent on subs, how many hours teachers were out of the classroom, and so they had a whole slideshow of all that data,
Low 40.
Yeah, I wanna say 42.
which kinda made you go, oh. Like,
Well, you
wow,
think about the impact on the kids.
yeah.
It's really a big deal.
And that's the other thing, is just what you said, is the
No,
impact on
there's
the
no
kids.
continuity there.
There's not, and it just creates this wonky day for kids on a regular basis, and that's not, and they're not getting the learning that you're gonna get when your classroom teacher's there. It's just not gonna be the same.
Maybe,
No matter how-
hopefully we'll get a little better policies on with the subs and
That's right.
making sure there's lesson plans and.
Sure.
Or, you know,
We addressed those as they came up last year, but absolutely, just
We're not
those
just-
expectations going in.
watching the Harry Potter movie in science class for a sub.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel there could be better.
I planned on talking
You're not
about
wrong.
movies.
You're
could be
right on the
better
money.
Time spent.
Yes.
And if you know, as a teacher, even if you know you're gonna be gone, you know it's your responsibility to leave a plan for your subs.
It's an absolute expectation that you just have those ready, and we know there's emergencies, but that's why you have some plans. You have those backup plans so that you have something that go in place on the worst case scenario, but most of the time, through 19 years in the classroom, I never had a time that I wasn't able to create something that morning even when you're sick. You know, you just,
Well,
you
especially
just do
now.
it.
Wake up,
Especially now with the Chromebooks.
Exactly.
Classes.
She's too easy.
You can do
I-
something at home
I've
and send it
driven to
your kids.
school.
Gets everything laid out.
Getting
I'm
sick
like,
on the way to
"Kidding me?
school
Somebody
because-
can't do that?" She's like, I just couldn't, I can't, I'm like, okay.
Well, we've done way too much movie watching
That's what
with
it does,
subs
that's what you
in the
do.
last
It's,
couple of years.
it was,
So how do we,
it was a culture, and there were things really going on there.
Okay, you're aware
I
of
agree,
it?
I
and
completely,
That's,
and our principals, I mean, it's something that we've
that's the
got
biggest
it
thing,
on our agenda.
as long as we can't fix anything we're not aware of, and as long as we're aware of it, we will
Right,
attack it.
right. What'd you say?
I just, have some thoughts on sub pay and teachers and just, I'm not ready to bring it all out just yet. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Andre?
No, I do think besides the high use of subs, I think we need to offer more so we can get them here easier,
Sure.
because it's hard to get subs
That's probably
here.
part of the problem. with,
I think
so, yeah,
we upped it and was above them for a while, and now.
yeah, now we're at the bottom. But so, and even where we're at, it's still, we're gonna be more competitive, I don't know how competitive we'll be, but at least it'll be a starting point,
We
we can see
stay
if
in
we've
the
gotta
game.
do something else, so.
So,
But,
and you guys may already do this, but one of the things that helped with our sub things is there is a sub folder for every single teacher in our building that stays at the principal's office. And it has the daily schedule, like there's certain requirements that we have to have in that folder,
Mhm.
so that when they check in, you basically
Just
have
hand it to 'em. Yeah.
the class list and the busing and the, who goes where and what, and then the schedule, and typically what'll happen is we send in, normally I have a para, so I can send my sub, what I want
Sure.
done on that day to my para. But a lot of times they'll send it to the secretary, she prints it off and then puts it in that folder.
That's
and hands
exactly
it.
how we ran it mine, in the
Yeah.
elementary building.
Yes.
I think secondary is a little different, but there were certain things that you just needed to have laid out that are just gonna be
Yes.
constant always. And then, yes, that's kind of what we did, they just sent it to either a buddy or to the secretary, it was printed, ready to go, and they handed it to the teacher when they walked in. So I think just an opportunity for us to have conversation about how we wanna make sure we're prepared. And that expectation up front, when we addressed it last year, when we found out lesson plans weren't there and we addressed it, then they were there for that particular teacher the rest of the year. But it was odd to
Just
me
gotta
that
be
we had to
more
address it, so I think it's just gonna be one of those at the beginning of the year, we just make sure everybody knows. And we'll be happy-
Expectations and accountability.
Expectations, and then we're happy to buy subfolders.
Yeah.
We can buy those, we
We
can have
all
them
have
out
the
there.
same one, and we all
Yeah.
fill in the same information,
Yeah.
and our principal would check,
Thank you.
We got the number, I still gotta have it.
Okay.
Get the number, get the number.
Okay, gotcha.
okay, so I'll make a motion for the new sub pay of, I don't know, 115 and then 135 for long-term, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion made, Mr. Birdsong, second, Mr. Brookshire, to increase our sub pay to to $115 a day, and our long-term pay to $135 per day after day, starting on day 11. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Handbook, Mr. Dunn, what do you want to start with that dude?
It's a lot. I'm game with whatever, if we just want to work down the list
Let's
of
just go down the list.
what I've gone through.
Is this your changes and recommendations section?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So to start off, I removed the elementary references because we split the two handbooks because they do need to be separate. That's what we felt.
So we're going to do a K through 6,
Yeah.
7 through 12, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Some minor changes, like if a student was absent, we asked parents to call by 12 o'clock. We need them to call by 9 o'clock so that we can start calling those that we haven't heard from in a timely manner. And so some minor changes like that. The attendance policy, we noticed going through here that it hadn't been changed in several years, going even back to when we were a 5-day week. So we were at 7 absences. We go down to a 4-day week. We're still at 7 absences, which is pretty lenient with the 7 absences. So my proposal is, and I checked with other schools what to do, and they're all around the 5 or 6 range of absences. Lincoln is a 5-day week, and they allow 5 absences. We're a 4-day week. I think we could go down to 5 and then build something in. They'd still have the opportunity to go before attendance committee with like doctor's notes or death in the family. So if they had to go over, then we could use those and just try to use some common sense to say, yeah, you're good. But they would go before the committee, and the committee would have an opportunity to award them credit for going over the policy. Another thing, an idea I like that another school does is students could attend Friday night school or a Monday school to make up a missed day, maybe allow that twice a semester. So if we give them 5 absences, it allows them to put forth some effort to get their credits. Hey, I had to miss 6 or I had to miss 7, but I can make those up by going to Friday night school. So it puts a little bit back on them. They can still get up to that 7, but they got to do something for it. So that was the main thing on the attendance policy. I know that.
I like giving them the option to make that up.
Make it up.
Because then you're gonna find out the kids that are really, hey,
They're not- they're not-
we'd already planned, I knew I was gonna miss 3 days because we were going, wherever. I didn't know that, I was gonna have an immediate death in the family and have to be gone for 2 more. But, giving them the opportunity to at least make good, I think that should, with that, usually that responsibility back to them
Well,
and back to the parents. So.
When they come before the committee, that's something we can look at. Like, you're asking us to give you some credit back, and there's some gray area here, but did you attend Friday school or not? That sort of thing.
Did you put forth the effort to
Yeah.
make it back?
One of the things I tried to do is remove any language that alluded to excused or unexcused, because we really don't have that at the high school level. It's, you get so many absences, if you go past that, you forfeit credit.
You're not here, it's not really. an
Yeah,
excuse.
and so I tried to remove language that would allude to that.
These 5 days, is this per semester?
Semester,
Semester.
yeah.
So per half year.
Correct. And so as we get, and we would send out letters, like in the 3rd absence, or 5th absence, or 6th absence, that was kind of the plan to let parents know and kids know, hey, you're getting close, or you can't miss any more, and now you've missed 6.
Well, I think there also needs to be,
So here,
I know they mail out letters. Let's face it, the post office is terrible. Probably need to also look at ways of notifying the parents.
Maybe directly or more.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
I don't know.
and with that, we should be making phone calls daily
Correct.
too, with those absences. That's why we need attendance done in the morning, that's why we need to change that deadline to 9 o'clock for parents to call in, so we can start making those calls. Those people that are habitual, I mean, they're gonna hear from me.
Yeah.
And we may even have to do some well child checks with the SRO and that sort of thing.
So for me on the attendance, how do we hold the students to a higher expectation than we do the instructors? Like we give the teachers 13 days off, but now we're gonna try to back the kids down to 5. They get, I mean, if you divide that, I mean, we're expecting better attendance out of our kids than we are.
And it has, and that being said, and I've been here the 13 days that we give our staff off, was that
That was with the 5-day week.
that was with 5-day week? Does that need to be looked at?
We've talked
That's
about.
where I-
Discussed it.
We
discussed
discussed
it.
it before, 'cause
I'm in favor of bringing it down from 13, but
We didn't do it.
didn't do it last year. So,
Somebody make a motion
And that's
on that,
where,
or-
because we was at 5 days before. I don't
Oh, we were
remember
at
when.
7. Well, if it was 5, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I
We
think,
went
I
through
think it
some-
was. a
we
long
did, we
time.
looked back,
We
trying to
went back
figure out
several
when.
years, and it's been several years. I guess, without putting a lot of thought into it, just kind of thinking out loud, my thought with that would be, we're giving them 14, really. They just have, for the year, we're giving them 14, and they have to do a little bit for it. You know, a teacher, if they go over, they start getting dock pay. You know, if the kids go over, you know, they're losing their credit. But also, if we've got kids that are sick and they've got those doctor's notes, we are allowing more than that. Because that'd be one of those things that, man, I had the flu, I went to the doctor, they told me to stay home for 4 days, I missed 7 days, you know, that sort of thing.
Or you get
They
kids
come before the
mono or
committee,
something that has-
we get a chance to utilize some common sense with that. and
No,
say,
I don't, I just have a hard time with.
Yeah.
Not holding
No,
the
I
teachers.
get it, but, yeah,
We need to address that at some point.
And we kind of did the days with the teachers, it's just kind of more of an incentive for permanent, you know.
Allows them to build up their bank a little bit faster, which I think is, that's good. But it does give them more days to take off if you're the kind of person who takes all 13 in a year. So there's a pro and
Just
con.
need to find out, we need to talk at some point, we probably need to come back to this and see where we can find a happy medium on the staff side of it. You know, as far as the students, I'm, you know, I think it's, putting that expectation out there is great, and I think, but being able to allow them to make up if there is, and also if there is something crazy that would happen, there's a potential that,
Yeah.
potential fix where they're not gonna lose their credit. And with a board.
And it needs to be, and it's written in there, like, it'd be legitimate, like, we're looking for doctor's notes, which you have like a week to turn them in, like, once you've been gone, you have a week to turn them in. Or a death in the family, but the attendance committee is not for those kids who just, they
And
don't
that
get up in the morning.
Constantly.
That could be something we do with teacher days and still get them, but, well, we looked at that too.
Well,
We
we-
changed all that.
we also, last year was our first year in Rolla where they will not accept the paper. The office has to directly send it to the school office. So they send it right over, and you're not allowed to turn in a paper one.
I know when I go to.
From the doctor.
Yeah, when I take.
So
to
the
doctor,
doctors in
they're always
Rolla,
wanting to
they
fax
all
it
know
down.
that
They
they're
email
like,
it here, I'm like, no, I can
yes,
just give it to them.
yes, we do, okay, we'll send it, and then they directly email it, and then there's no, well, I lost it, or, you know.
I created
so-
my own on Canva.
Our work day.
Exactly.
This-
So that's maybe
That's fine.
something they consider, but it's like not allowed. They made a policy.
Yes. When I take you to the
Pre-K
dentist or
to
the,
12.
they're like, well, do we need to email it to the school? I'm like, what are you talking about? No, I'll just carry it in there.
No, that, I like that.
No,
That's
that way,
But, 'cause
well,
they're so
it
used to having
helps
all their own
parents
kids
not
there.
lose it and kids not lose, you know.
Or make
But,
one up.
or make one up, but it just,
And that's
so
about
that was a
something that you can
policy
look
they
at, and all you need
adopted
is an
last year.
attendance
Last
email,
year was our first
right?
year to do that.
I get the concern about having the two in line. So how do we feel about student attendance policy? Is it something we want to, are you guys feel comfortable changing?
Oh, on the 5, going to the 5 days.
Because we're also looking at our attendance rates too. trying to boost our
Not
attendance
even,
rates.
it's just 90%. Right?
Yeah, because how many days would be in a semester now, 4-day week? I don't have that number off my head.
70,
What's that?
70.
Yeah, so if
On
you-
average.
So, if you- yeah.
which go 140 some days.
We're trying to keep above that 90%.
But I think 5 days is still just 90%.
I'm okay with the 5 days.
I am too, if you give them the two.
I
The
do.
dates, if they have the option.
To make
I
up
think,
the
to make it up,
option.
I think that's good.
Right.
Well, and I think you put protocol in there that if there was a special
Plus, going to the committee,
issue,
that
Maybe
gains
go to
you some
committee or
ground.
something like that.
there's
For the
options
needs.
for legitimate,
It's not for the abuse, it's for the legitimate.
it's for there's the options for legitimate issues.
Yeah.
So, I'm good with that.
I put the attendance policy, I wrote an updated attendance policy in there that explains all that. You had that. Another thing with the attendance is allowing seniors a couple of days to visit colleges. Now, we prefer them use it Monday, but sometimes it doesn't work, based on a parent schedule or college schedule or whatever, orchestrating that visit. I'd like to encourage them to take visits, and our policy didn't allow them days to do that. And so I'd like to, build in, whether it's 1 or 2 days, I put 2 days in here, but allow them some time to, now it's gotta be pre-approved, you can't just miss a day and come back and say, I went to a college.
Right, yeah.
But being pre-approved, and then,
Yeah.
and at least my thinking between 1 and 2 was, go visit a couple and make a decision, don't just go to one if you're like,
Yes.
at
No,
least
I think
give
that's a
some
good
I think
options.
that's fine. I think 2 is good.
Yeah.
And I think structure all this, like, having it approved prior, that's gonna be a.
Yeah.
Our counselors handle that. Because my kids.
And assisting on
that-
setting
they
up
would-
the day.
They would let
Fine.
them their junior and senior year,
Mhm.
take 2 days in the junior year if they wanted it, and 2 days in their senior year.
I would be okay to
And
add
that
that.
lets those juniors kind of
Get
start,
their feet wet.
get their feet wet and going and visiting and
Deal with that.
making a
Yeah.
plan.
Our son started in junior year too.
Yeah, and so they let them have 2, but then they had to
Then they
get
should change.
certain paperwork from the counselor, and then they had to turn in certain paperwork to the counselor.
Yeah, because it's easy for them to get that signed off
Yes.
when they're at the college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
yeah.
That's awesome.
I think
And
it's
a lot of planning now as when a kid turns to junior.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
I'm good with that.
I have no problem with
Thank you. Some of that was just, some of the stuff was just adding some flexibility in the discipline code. Like failure to complete assignments, it only listed ISS. I like to throw in Friday and Monday, just get some options there.
Yes.
So a lot of these changes were just giving us more flexibility in what we can do. Lunch detention, as it stands right now, it could change because I learned some things today, but I'm not a fan of utilizing ISS for lunch detention because they're gonna have their hands full with ISS and credit recovery and all that stuff. And so if a teacher wants to assign ISS, I think the kids should go to their room. And that's what I did when I was a teacher, like, it gave me authority, if I would say, okay, you've got lunch detention, but you're coming to my room, that sort of thing. And so, I think in the past, they've utilized ISS when we had it.
it.
I'm just not a fan of utilizing ISS for that.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
We
Another
had a
thing-
program in the past that was called Lunch Buddies, and there was a certain area in the cafeteria where they sat.
They said.
And it was controlled by.
And it worked.
For all 3 of you guys,
Look
did
into-
you participate in lunch buddies? Adam?
I don't
I
think,
did not.
I don't think Adam did, but I know me and Matt
Officially
sat.
say
I know me and Matt sat together time
Somebody
too.
in the Brooks would come by at the lunch break table and say, you know what, I'm just gonna let you stay home from school tomorrow, get out.
But I didn't get that one.
But I did learn some things today that caused me to ponder maybe assigning a teacher, that would just be their lunch duty every day. But I don't know if I'm quite there yet. I've got to make sure we got enough staff to cover all of our duties.
You bet.
But there could be a change there.
Well, there is that.
ISS, adding in there, the students must successfully complete ISS to go back to class.
I agree with that.
And so if they don't want to be, whether it's behavioral or academic, like they don't do any of the work, they don't want to act right,
Come back
they need
tomorrow.
to repeat it.
I agree.
It may get to the point where like, you need to come home and try it back tomorrow. Now, that's not going to be our first thing, but if it's just too disruptive,
I get it.
Yeah.
they just
No, I
need to be
think that's-
successful.
that's
I
good.
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't just get to get out of it.
Yeah.
I'm all aboard with that because ISS for me has been a sore subject. And
Haven't been, it's-
I don't want it to be a babysitter. There needs to be a purpose.
I don't think it's gonna be a babysitter.
No Harry Potter movies and I
No. Not for ISS.
Oh, we ordered some
ISS is
I hope you put that on your personal card.
We want there to be some expectations up front,
You bet.
those are communicated up front, they've gotta be met to go.
I like it.
I think that's.
I'm good with that for sure.
Dress code, just some things that I didn't see that were in there. We allow caps. And I just want to put a clause in there that if a teacher doesn't want that in their class, that's their rule, you know, just put that clause in there. Which I think is pretty common, it's probably the way it is already, but
I think it is.
just put that clause in there.
It's good to have it in there.
The handbook has said shirts had to cover the shoulder, but there was no like examples or anything. So I thought, well, if we put in a clause that says no spaghetti straps, tank shirts, muscle shirts, halter tops, tube tops, that sort of thing, it gives examples of what that means. You know, it's kind of covered the shoulder.
That way they can't find the loophole.
Yeah.
I know.
They're kids. They're already,
There was, yeah, there was a part in the handbook that said dress code violations are not to be considered a discipline issue. I thought we take that out. It is.
I agree. I
It
agree.
is.
It's disregard for a rule.
Yeah, yeah.
There's gotta be a little meat to it, other than just go change your clothes.
Some of these, like the cell phone students, the first offense was 1 to 10 days. That's gonna be common. Every once in a while you get a pretty extreme thing. I thought, well, we just bump that to 1 to 180. That gives us in the policy for those extreme cases. So, bus misconduct.
You're right.
Yeah, bus misconduct, you can see there, the first offense being conference or 1 day suspension for a bus. Second offense, it just kind of goes up from there. Looking at 5 to 10 days to possible permanent removal, so just giving some increments there. The cell phone misconduct, so this is different than possession, so we have possession and then misuse. The misconduct would be like, okay, there's a fight, the kid records it. The policy did say beforehand, whatever the consequence is for the fight, that's what you get for recording it. And they could record anything, I just use a fight as an example. It could be a minor thing, it could just been something at lunch that required consequence. But like if we're gonna forbid or prohibit cell phones, I think we need to get stricter with that policy. And I would say if they have a phone out for anything, it's an automatic OSS. Like if you're recording, it's an automatic, you're going home. And typically when I've done this in the past, it's like a 1 day, rarely a 2 day, like 1 day. You recorded, you shouldn't have, you're going home for 1 day. I was proposing 1 to 180 just because we got social media. If a kid would record something, get crazy on social media, and we may need to do something more than
Do we have a social media policy?
we should, yeah.
I think we have a
Yeah.
very vague.
But great question, Darla. I'm sure it's another one of these that probably at some point
I mean,
needs
Rolla has a very strict social
to be,
media policy.
looked
I think
over.
we have something, but I don't think it's much.
Rolla
Sometimes
just-
it's really hard to police that because it's an outside of school thing a lot of times.
But but what about, Mr. Dunn, when you have a student in school taking a picture of somebody in school, during school, and posting it on social media, where does that?
That's what this is. So, yeah, so just taking it, just using that phone and recording something, a photograph or video, would be an automatic going home. And then if social media gets involved, it could add to that.
Get stronger.
Yeah.
Well, and we have a lot of our coaches that
Yes.
help monitor that as well.
I
Like,
see.
I know when I was a cheer coach, we were checking our social media, not all the time. But a lot of times, the girls would report it to us, like, hey, so-and-so's been on, and saying whatever, so they would lose a lot of their privileges. They'd have to sit out a ball game, or they would have to, with the social media pieces. And they were very much about, you're not going to bash coaches, and you're not going to bash, you know, the team, things like that. Like an
I think there
athletic
was, I think there is
social
some, yeah, I say, I
media,
think we
and
do have something in the athletic book, social media, have been updated, I just don't know about.
I
our
haven't looked at it,
full
so that's why I
handbook.
was
Yeah,
asking.
it's been a while
We
since
have
I've
some
read the
stuff,
athletic.
but not a
They
lot.
need to be updated.
The possession piece, I don't think if we're telling students that that's what we decide, the students can't have them on campus, then there doesn't need to be a warning. That is the warning. We told you don't bring them. And so, first time you get caught, we can slap a Friday or a Monday, give your phone back at the end of the day. Next time you're gonna get a Friday or Monday, parents gonna have to come up. And then after that, the consequences add on. We're looking at, I think I put a minimum of 3 days ISS for the third time, and then keeps on. I mean, we're gonna maybe look at OSS. I mean, hope it doesn't get that far, but you start to get into that defiance piece where I'm just heck with your rules,
Yeah.
So, but just.
Thumbs up, Doug.
Okay.
Thumbs up. We're saying.
We're all like,
We're calling you McDonald's, aren't we?
I can't remember, I don't think this one was in here, it might have been. Defiance of authority. Oh yeah, I just changed the consequences. I think it was pretty vague, it just
It was
said
in there.
up to 10 days OSS, so just kind of narrowing that down a little bit. Utilizing Friday and Monday in ISS maybe for a first offense, and then building up to the OSS. The new section, this one wasn't in here, just disrespect for authority, so being disrespectful to a teacher or any kind of staff member, then we got a place in there for that.
Well, need one.
The dress code violation, first offense, typically just a warning, you're gonna comply, we've got it documented. Next time we'll start giving you consequences, so we're looking at Friday and Monday, for the next time, and then building on, after that. A new section here that I've had in the past, probably in 3 years of having this policy, I've used it twice, but it's end of year misbehavior. And so in those last 2 weeks of school, where you got stuff going on, maybe even the last week of school, yeah, I could put a kid in ISS, but the teacher doesn't have any assignments or anything they're doing in class, and now we're burdening that teacher with having to create stuff for ISS, or whatever the case may be. There can be some unique cases where it's easier to say, stay home for the summer, those last 2 weeks, because we've got a lot of stuff going on with activities and assemblies and field trips, and we've got to make sure you can behave. And then it gets, or I could assign a Friday school, but what if we're not doing Friday school next week because school's about out? Or what happens if I assign it, they don't show up, and I don't have any time left to deal with that, so sometimes it's easier you're just done, Like I said, it's 3 years, I think I used it twice. It's really, it's kind of a nice thing to have in there.
Nice to have.
Failure to serve detention or Monday school. I don't think if they fail to serve Friday or Monday, it should ever go away. I mean, it's gonna be a reassigned and a consequence. Reassigned and a consequence, but the consequence will build up.
And I love that. I know it was a scenario where it was like, oh, well, I'm gonna go, and guess what? Nothing ever got done about it. So,
Yeah.
no reason to, why'd we even try to make somebody do it the first time if we're not gonna back it up? So we learned nothing.
Yeah. Fighting, we got done here, fighting, change the second offense to up to 5 days. From up to 5 days to up to 10 days, just because there's unique,
You
yeah.
never know what happened.
Yeah. And same thing with subsequent, change it from 10 days to up to 180. Not that we go up that high, but just, there are extreme cases every once in a while. Here's one that would be new to the policy, and it's refusal to accept consequences. So if I assign a kid an ISS and they just refuse, we're gonna try to get them to go. They call home, but they're refusing. You're gonna have to go home to come back and, serve it. But this is the consequence. Same thing like a dress code. If we're trying to get
It's nice
somebody,
to spell it out.
if we're trying to get somebody to comply with dress code and they just don't want to do it, I can't send you back to class. I'm not gonna send you to ISS either. So you should have to go home, and come back with, when. And so that doesn't happen very often, but it's nice to have that. They just flat out refuse what we're trying to do. Like I said, I haven't used it much, but it's nice to be be in there. Sexually inappropriate language, just adding Friday and Monday options for consequences. Sexually inappropriate exposure. The consequence for sexually inappropriate exposure was 1 to 10 days of ISS. There are varying levels of what that could be, and I think we need to do 1 day of ISS up to 10 days of OSS. Because it could be a
more
pretty
days of
extreme
OSS.
exposure where ISS isn't enough.
Yeah.
So, next one, this is also recommended by staff, and I agree with them, but moving the tardy policy from, I think they got, was it 4 or 5 per class, per semester, per quarter, to cumulative. And so instead of having 5 tardies per class, if you could get 40, then just 5 tardies total. Actually, I think it was 4, but doing 5 tardies for the semester. Well, let me rephrase that. On the 5th one, you start getting consequences. And then on the 10th one, you'll get another consequence. It's hard to really police it every single one, but we could run reports on a weekly basis and look for the 5, look for the 10, start giving them consequences for that. But the report would be a cumulative, all classes combined. Because otherwise they're, per class is, that's a lot.
You're gonna go 5, 10? You're gonna go increments of 5?
That's worked for me in the past. It's easy when you run that report to look at that, the 5 and 10, as long as we're running the reports on a weekly basis.
Such a lot in between.
It is, yeah. But I think for some kids, it'll move faster because they're used to per class and now it's cumulative.
I get it.
Yeah. And they can violate that in 1 day.
So when we were in school, we got 3.
It was 3.
That was.
Total or
Total.
otherwise?
Yeah, total.
I have to go see Mr. Belly, and I was never tardy again.
Oh. Yeah.
So you're
Mr.
saying
Bailey
at a point
was-
in time you learned a lesson was,
I did.
okay, good.
And now look,
Between
you're a
Mr. Bailey and my
productive
dad.
adult.
It was a very
Can't
important
play the
lesson I
trumpet,
learned.
but.
And it was just hard. And it wasn't like it was a terrible thing, but I did learn.
Were you
lessons.
late because you're practicing your trumpet or what?
He was like septic, they take that out.
Never going away.
Never going away.
I'm open.
It was not it at
This is
all,
just-
so, you
We're,
know.
well, and
I
I
think
think
fine, that's-
I was late because I was late.
I
I
think
think
what you're
that's
doing with the
fair.
5 is
That was-
good, because we're going
Right
from
on.
5 for class.
Yeah.
We're still at 5.
Yeah, I think it may have been 4, I can't remember. if it's
But whatever it was.
Yes, yeah.
But anyway, I think maybe a good starting point, and once you get your reports, then you can, if we need to change that, we change it.
Yeah.
I'm good.
But it was, it's already, they had to have a slip to be able to enter the class from the office. That way.
Every
it's all-
single hour.
If they were,
You were
if
tardy,
we were
right?
late to that class, the bell rang, the teacher sends you back, you had to have a slip from the office to get back into the class, yeah. I mean, that was,
Days.
No.
that's the way it was.
That's been a long time ago, but
But one of the things that we're really gonna
Before
have to
computers.
rely on is to make sure that our attendance is kept up every single hour and teachers.
They just have to put it in.
The
They have to put it in.
attendance already, yeah.
Yeah. As long as they put that in,
Yeah.
then it will catch up. As long as they take the time to
Yeah, it's
But
just
this-
part of the routine.
Yeah, so I guess that's probably gonna be different.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Yeah, that's probably why you did, because it kept track of the office before the.
Well, it
did,
used to
but-
be on paper too,
Yeah.
attendance, they call your name
You guys still work
and check it
different.
off.
And I still work off paper, I'm just old.
No.
But the accountability, I mean, the teachers, that's where, and you can't have one teacher that's okay with it, one that's not. Teachers have to be, or it doesn't work.
And it's the same thing with dress code and cell
Well,
phones and all
you'll know
that
which
stuff.
ones are, and which ones aren't.
So,
You can
I mean-
run a- You can run a report, see who does it, and who doesn't, you'll know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's an easy report to run.
yeah.
So,
Next one, there was a category weapon other than a firearm. I felt like we could stiffen that up and add possible expulsion, because we never know what that other weapon could be. And so it may require that. And obviously, that's a you guys thing, but let's put that in here. Student attendance on game day or an activity. The policy currently states a student should be at school, but that's all it says. And I propose that they be there at least half the day. That's pretty common among schools, is being there at least half the day. And then if the nurse sends them home because they're sick, then they're in eligible for whatever activity is that day.
Now,
Now,
last year, they were not allowed to be gone the day of an activity. They had to be at
100%.
school that day.
Hold on, Adam, that wasn't always enforced though, that.
I'm just
I
saying that
understand.
was supposed to be the policy.
Yeah, that was the way it was supposed to be, but it wasn't.
It was not always
That's just for
enforced that way.
anybody, right?
But-
Not the
and
athletes.
you're
Correct.
gonna have to determine in your mind what a half day means.
Yeah, it,
Because that means you have to be here by this certain amount of time, or if I leave during the day,
you know, what is that?
what is that?
Yeah.
And I'm okay with this.
So
but-
you need to for sure
But I thought this
know in
should
your
happen.
mind what that half day, how many hours is that?
Yeah, and I haven't done the math.
I know, but I mean, you don't need to,
Yeah.
you talk to your teachers and that.
Yeah.
you don't
Is
need to
there,
have that number in
is
mind.
there a MISHA rule? Because I thought
Yes,
last
you
year,
have to
we
be
were,
in
what we
school.
were doing was a MISHA rule, that they had to be here the day of an activity.
That's for athletes only though.
There are exceptions to that, because
That's what I'm
sometimes
saying.
the kid can't, like, they've got to go to Springfield for a doctor.
No,
That's what
yeah,
they-
yeah.
And then with prior permission from that, then
Yes.
you can.
Yes, which that was part of the thing as well,
Yeah.
I thought. And maybe I'm just thinking of the athlete handbook. for
I
that.
think he might be,
But that's gonna fall for band.
It should
and all
fall
that
for
stuff.
any-
Yeah.
That's why I
Because
was
that's all
asking,
just
are you
regulated.
talking about athletes? Because it's
I'm not
different for
recalling. I
athletes.
could be
It
wrong.
should, for me, it should fall for FFA. I mean.
Well, I put in here for activities too.
Right, and I think this part of this policy, we're talking about, you know, any
Just generally.
school activities,
Generally.
you know,
It's
whether it's
generally
robotics,
subsidized.
whether it's FFA, whether it's
Gotcha.
band, whether it's whatever.
I got you.
Because this is generally gonna be like after-school activities, you know,
Yeah.
because you gotta be here to be after school.
Yeah.
If it's a during school, you're gonna come because it was during school.
Gotcha.
Chess
Okay.
club, whatever.
Just making sure we're where we need to be.
At the present time, I've just made a change to remove lunch detention for some consequences because at this time, I don't have any lunch detention. Drug testing, if a student is randomly selected, they need to go through with the test. If they find a way out of it, whether it's getting sick or I gotta check out and go home, then we need to treat that as a positive test and follow our procedures for that. If we're doing a random draw. There's not consequences tied to that, well, there are for, like, if you're involved in an activity. But it's not like you're getting ISS or OSS for it. There's some other things attached.
Are we
to
still
that.
wanting to do, I'm just gonna throw it out there because I hear some schools saying they're going away from drug testing. Are we still in a place where we want to continue with the random drug testing?
I think
I'm all for it.
I do.
Okay, I just thought I'd toss it
I
out
don't
because I
know why
hear.
you would be rid of it.
Our policy
Uh-huh.
currently states junior high and high school because they're involved in activities about. Anyway, that's what the policy says, and also any privilege like driving to school,
Mhm.
and that sort of thing. And so one of the things we run into that I need to do some more digging on, I think we need to have, we need to make sure that the kids who are involved in spring sports only are getting drug tested, and they're part of that random pool for the entire year. That if you're not part of that random pool, you shouldn't be able to avoid that test and all of a sudden say, I want to play golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they need to be a part of that random pool all year, and if they're not, they're ineligible to play a spring sport.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
So,
That may be difficult.
We,
no.
I did it, well,
Yeah.
I did it at Licking, we had a full, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so because, and again, I am not educated in the world of drugs. But,
Good.
yeah, right, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is now that marijuana is legal, how does that, I mean, is there secondhand anything that can be affected?
It's
So
not
if a
legal
kid,
for our kids.
No, she's talking about like, say, the parent
Right,
does
he's
it with
saying
the
the
kids.
parent or
They
the
are
kid.
all
The
licensed.
second hand.
see what I mean, the parent and then the second hand with the kid, is there a possibility that that could
Yes.
come up positive?
Yes.
That's what I was
Yes.
thinking, so how does that affect?
You have to have a consultation with the parents, I guess. and
If, I mean, it will show up specifically if it is that,
It will.
right, on the drug test,
Absolutely.
but,
That'd probably be, Tomo is the company we use, and I don't
That's
have an
a-
answer for that, I'll probably ask Tomo.
cause it kinda opens a whole, I mean, when all
It
this
does,
came
but there's
about, it
a,
opened
there's
a
an
can
appeal
of worms,
process for that,
right?
and they could appeal based upon that.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the
I
time the
just
field
wondered.
runs through, you know, how many games you
I would think the
have.
parent
But
have enough courtesy.
But the kids who are trying to get out of it are not the ones who are getting.
In
Right.
all honesty, though, I was a certified drug and alcohol collector many years ago, don't ask.
certified.
Certified, I was licensed. The only ones that you're really gonna have to worry about that with marijuana is gonna be the younger children. Because it's gonna be more of a contact, where they're contacted, and you're not gonna see a 16-year-old lovey-dovey with mom and dad enough to have that contact.
I'll tell you that would happen.
Okay, that makes me
Yeah, it's gonna be more geared
I
towards
just
probably
wondered.
your Pete's age.
Usually got
But you won't-
More than anything else.
But
And they are
we
getting
don't
tested.
Which we don't.
Right.
I'm just thinking, cause we're gonna,
That
Anyway.
probably may not happen, hopefully that won't.
I think you got a good thought there, but I think Jeannie kind of cleared that up of what
I just
What
didn't know
could
what that would look
possibly-
like,
your potential
cause we have to be prepared, you know, a kid,
possibilities.
I agree.
and a kid can claim, well, my parents,
They can claim it all day long, but unless they're,
yeah.
yeah, if they're getting it from their parents and they're 16, there's bigger problems than them testing positive for pot.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We find some kids that don't want to drive to school, because that would be part of the testing. That happens sometimes. Student searches, our policy is not in the handbook, so adding our policy to the handbook on that. The personal devices, changing that to prohibit anything personal, like students can't bring their personal computers to school either. We're gonna provide you what you need. And that's it.
Looks like Mr. Dunn has done a lot of work on that, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very appreciative of that, Mr. Dunn.
this is,
That's good.
it's very exciting. I mean,
And me
Appreciate
too.
your support.
Now the hard part comes to follow through that. But you know that.
I mean, there's gonna be aspects of this that are gonna frustrate people.
I have
But
one
we're gonna have to
question.
stick to it.
I think the
It'll take about a month and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
In your policy, it states no student is to leave the school campus during school hours for any reason except during the lunch period. Shannon and I found out at the end of the year, we were opening the door a lot for
Did
kids getting McDonald's and Taco Bell, and we didn't think we had an open lunch
Is that
policy.
part of my list?
It just says here except during.
I
You
the
can leave during lunch?
We don't want that.
Yeah, I may have copied and pasted that from, I need to go back and fix that. Because
So it is closed.
Licking, we had an open campus, I may have copied and pasted that and missed that part, so that's a good catch.
So we are closed campus then
Yeah,
still?
We are.
yeah, I probably just missed that when I was,
But for what Jeannie was saying was at the end of the year, they were opening the door a lot for kids that had
Every
left.
I think
day,
there's something in there about we can't do that.
every day,
I
because
think
me and
there is
Shannon
too.
even
I think-
said, don't we have a closed campus?
Yeah, we do. I think
And
there's
they were
something
coming
in
back
there
with
about
Taco
it.
Bell and.
We're not doing that.
Well, it's something else to keep in mind, and I know this happened a few years ago, and I don't know if there's a policy you can put in there, but I know for a fact that kids were having, I don't know if it was parents, teachers, employees, order DoorDash for lunch down here.
Yeah.
See, we don't allow that.
That should never,
Except-
that
But
should
we
never
let
happen.
teachers, we let, we do let teachers.
We don't allow that here
Yeah.
anymore either.
Okay.
That's changed.
What part of that handbook is that?
It's an updated attendance policy.
Okay,
We
I
do
just
it.
forgot to.
Did you have to turn the lights on outside?
Lunch policy.
Hey, we keep my age.
Yeah, I just missed that, thanks for catching that.
I know what I'm gonna do when I get to Adam's age.
Somebody better be going to get, we talked about it for one.
I just got a year older too.
I do too.
Any questions for
I'm still in my 40s, but.
Doug?
Nope.
No, thanks again, Mr. Dunn. I like what I see here, and I do believe this will help create that culture and
And we're,
hold some accountability.
Yeah.
we're not voting, we're just approving.
We're just saying we like it.
And that way it's a living document and
If you need
you
to change it tomorrow
can work on
afternoon,
it.
before school starts or whatever, you change it.
Like you just saw, and you're like, why the heck I got that?
And then,
Take it out.
of course, bring it to us, let us know, and keep us updated. And if you do change it, we have to put an update out there on Facebook, or send out something that says we changed that to this.
I appreciate the support with it. I don't
So
envision,
people,
outside maybe a lunch attention thing, I don't envision any big changes or anything at this point.
He's spent a great deal of time with it, so.
And
No.
and some of this,
Well,
just came from the
basically,
staff too, we had the.
Great
we
job.
do work on
Yeah.
that in the afternoon.
I like that
He sure
aspect
did.
of
He's been working on it
staff,
for quite
a lot
some
of
time.
staff is on board.
I'm talking about, I've been down
A lot
here,
of
we did that.
changes
I know.
Because
Really.
they see it.
we've
Well,
had
and
many,
it's,
many.
it's pretty
meetings.
simple. This is our handbook, these are our rules. So there's really not a discussion for anybody, what part of it. This is what we believe is best to get our children educated.
Right.
We're here to educate these kids, not to run a daycare.
Yeah.
And we have to have policies in place.
One,
That would
on your
take care of that.
absences going from 7 to 5, I don't know the thoughts, but we might want to advertise that somehow at a registration date or so, I don't know, because there's people who plan on those 7 days. So.
They're still gonna get
I'm just gonna
7.
put it that way.
They're just gonna have to come to
But,
Friday night
so
detention.
people are gonna wanna know
Right.
that that's different, and I don't know how we need to progress and put that out.
Well,
there. Just food for thought, I guess. Because I know parents who know my kids can miss this many days and there's no problems. So right now, they know that's
And
7.
for whatever reason, I'll be real honest, I thought it was 5, because last
That's
year,
what I thought, too.
we went on vacation, and I told Eva, I said, well, here's the deal. You're gonna miss 3 days, so and that was in like October, and I said, you can only miss 2 days the rest of the year. Now, I don't think she missed any, but that was our assumption back then, it was only 5 days, so.
And that honestly, there might be, there are probably a handful that think it's 7 or know it's 7, and there might be a majority that still think that it's 5. Like,
Yeah, because I was like, ooh.
I
you're
just
gonna
But
know
you're
some
right.
people that know it was 7. and they-
oh, no, I know what you're talking about.
Well,
Yes.
you talked about some conversation on the first day of school
So-
with the kids, whether it be small group
Now,
assemblies or
last
things.
year,
It'd just
we-
probably be a good opportunity to maybe put that.
Last year, we had a handbook reading with our students.
I knew that you.
And I don't know if that's something, if we want to look at again, or a condensed version of that.
I would really like to be in front of the kids going over a lot of this stuff, so they can tell that I'm behind what I'm saying.
That you mean business.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that may require an assembly
Yeah.
in the gym.
yeah.
But so, that's awesome. This is, I like, somehow they know.
So, no, absolutely.
Right.
And I might still create some bullet points for staff just to kind of go over it again, so kids get it more than once. And I probably will end up doing something like that. I've got to start on bullet points just from this that I gave you guys.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but yeah, they need to hear more than one, they need to hear it from me.
Sounds good. I like it.
I think only because it saves, we've got so much, it costs so much in paper, but I really think that him standing in front of them, telling them these things, and talking to them is gonna probably be received better. Well, they probably won't read it. We can, I mean, we can certainly do that.
I would agree with you, give it to kids, and
It's
then
pretty customary.
may never get open. Sure, most of them wouldn't make it home.
I wonder if you
It
could.
won't. I mean, I get the point of doing it, but I just don't know that they,
Eliminate some students.
Send out a Google Form.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I understand what you're saying on that, it doesn't say, oh, you were given one, but.
Oh, they say against the wall.
See, what
Maybe well.
what I'm kind of wondering,
Well, I mean, they either need one or their paper needs to be, they need to know.
So.
see, that's why last year, we actually took some time the first week or so of class, and they reviewed the handbook. And I don't recall if the students had to sign and say, I've heard,
Well, that's what
I've
we just
reviewed this.
discussed. We
Kind of.
have it where the parent
I've
has
always
to
had to
sign.
sign it before.
Like in elementary, the parent signs.
I don't know what
it.
that looks like, Mr. Dunn, just
Yeah.
some way for,
Or enrollment when
And it could even be a Google
parent
Form.
signs.
But
Yeah.
just sit down where
They can
handbook.
digitally sign.
So they've got access to it online.
Well, it's.
I mean, they could all have access, we can push that out to everybody, or we can email, or whatever, and then,
See, I know,
they're responsible.
and I cannot recall exactly, but when we first came here with Eli in junior high, as parents, we had to do some things on a Google form or whatever
Yeah.
that was related to the handbook, and it asked a question about a policy, and we had to know the answer.
And I would probably add
To
some
that.
of the
It was something
changes.
like that, so.
Probably given this year, I wouldn't just need to do a blanket, hey, I know, I've read the handbook, I need to put some of these bullet points on that Google
Yes.
form.
Yes.
So they're aware.
Yeah.
And then even check each one of those that, hey, yes, I'm aware.
I'm not a robot.
I'm not.
Anyway, this sounds like you
Then
got a
it's
handle
out
like
that
that.
late decision.
Put that in our admin conversations too, just to see what,
Yeah.
make sure we do it.
Doug, does any of this need to be noted in the minutes since you didn't vote?
Just had discussion was had about handbook changes.
Because it's just a discussion item.
It's just discussion.
Great discussion.
Any questions, Mr. Dunn? Appreciate the work. I know it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of work, so. And you'll keep refining it, but you've done a tremendous amount of work. And I agree with you 100% that the students should hear you say what the handbook discipline is. That will go a long way. So I agree with that. Looking at next month's meeting.
We gotta
So,
do-
now what about
We gotta do number D and a half.
Gotta do number D and a half.
Yeah, yeah.
E and E?
Well, we gotta do the cell phone policy.
Yeah, we added that.
Yeah. Well, I did.
Now, a question that I have is, in your stuff, changes to the handbook had cell phone disciplinary actions. Does that match this policy?
Yes.
What you presented to us for handbook is the same?
It's identical, so what I've done.
Okay, I just wanted to make
This
sure.
is the former, this is what I recommend changing to, and then on the, if you scroll on down, this is what he put in his handbook, and this is what Mrs. Wright plans to put in hers.
Okay.
What's interesting is that we've had a cell phone policy since 2008.
Yeah.
It has not been allowed since then, but for whatever reason, and I heard some different stories about that last year, maybe it didn't go well in the beginning. We know we had connectivity issues, so there may have been a good reason that it wasn't enforced. I don't know because I wasn't here. But what I saw in the policy that was concerning to me was, well, one, it doesn't mention anything about Bluetooth wireless capable devices and things like that. But two, it really talks about the students are immediately suspended from school. There's in schools and out of school suspension, and I think it really needs to be subjected to the discipline policies of each
You bet.
handbook. It's different in elementary, how you're gonna respond to that than you are at the upper levels. And then again, I think sometimes there's that, what he's got in there, I think really stair steps it up nicely and gives kids that, whoa, I gotta do a Friday detention, and my parent has to come get the phone? Like, you know, I think that might hit a little bit more than I just gotta go to ISS and here you can phone back. You know, so that was my recommendation, was maybe we kind of adjust it just a little bit so that it's dependent upon our discipline code and how we respond.
Yeah. And I think, although we haven't been enforcing it, but I think that's already having a policy in place. That helps to say, we've already had this policy. With
Yeah,
some
we're gonna
updates,
enforce
This is what we will be enforcing.
Yeah, gives a chance to talk about it.
Are you happy with that pouch?
Yeah, we want to try it first. Yeah, and I've tried it with my watch too.
So it blocks.
The only thing you're gonna have is, you are gonna have kids that just slide in the opening.
Misuse it.
So,
You know that's gonna
so
happen.
yeah, to make it work, it's got to go inside the sleeve.
Right.
There is an opening here, but that's just part of the technology. I think by prohibiting the earbuds, that'll help with that.
It should.
Yeah.
I agree with
And
that.
that was my question.
The only thing it won't prohibit is
We
your
need to
watch.
spell out with these other Bluetooth devices, we need to spell that out as, i.e. Apple Watches, earbuds,
That's
headphones.
I need it back.
Not a watch.
That's what we.
Well, we went back and forth on the watches.
Yeah.
I think
And that's
they-
why we didn't
I think
do
they're
that.
okay keeping the watch.
This is what.
I'll
Because-
explain.
Yes?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you can do
yeah, I'll
it.
explain on the watches.
Smartwatches.
See, you want to listen to this.
Because I think initially we were just nothing. But we wanted to test it to see what it would do. Because I know there's some things that this watch will do once I get both of these connected to the same Wi-Fi signal. So what I didn't know was if they're both connected to the Wi-Fi signal, and I put this in, what will my watch still be able to do? I don't have a cellular plan, it's just connected to my phone. And so we tested it out. I didn't get a text, an email, or a phone call on my watch when it was in here. And so from that standpoint, if they are properly putting their phone in the pouch, again, that's an if. This isn't gonna work.
The watch is nothing other than a watch.
Correct.
And the apps that are on it. And so but nothing's gonna require a signal. The one exception to that would be if they actually have a cell plan. I don't know how many kids that applies to. Assuming
I'd say probably the bulk.
Yeah.
they actually have, like, they pay the $15 a month to have a cell plan to it.
Absolutely.
Well, they don't.
I pay it.
Well, yeah, but somebody does. So, not knowing what that number was, my thinking along those lines was, it might be more of a headache to send kids to the office every time you see a watch
Okay.
than police the small number that may have a cell plan. that was my initial thinking with the watch. But I don't know what that number is.
I think the watch is gonna get you just as much trouble as a phone, as much disruption as a phone, as having the phone out, personally.
Yeah.
They'll all, if they don't have it.
They will.
Yeah.
This is what I just got.
But the pouch, is there a pouch that,
If you want
because
to.
I don't foresee them ever leaving
I'm good
it
with that.
Okay.
on
But
the
then we have to have one good.
proper side.
I don't either.
I agree. As long as we-
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I get it.
I mean, I love that, I love the idea, but I don't think, I think they.
Once they figure out it fits on the outside of that. it'll
Can that not be
spread
sewed
across.
shut where,
Well, it's a Velcro.
but I mean, the front
Pouch,
pouch?
the front pouch.
Or is there another pouch out there that is just only a blocking pouch?
Well, yeah, but you start getting some very expensive pouches. And
But I
so-
mean, if we could have our ag, we could have, they could
That's
practice
true.
sewing,
I like
sew
that.
that shut.
If you don't get service down here though without internet,
I see what you're
isn't
saying.
there a way to block it to
I
where they
see-
can't
I
connect
see
to
what
our
you're saying.
internet?
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Well, we've tried that a lot.
Didn't work?
We're gonna, maybe, we're gonna run into a time crunch here, but yeah, we might, I don't know, somebody could do that? Do we have somebody that can do that?
I know, lady.
I think we're talking about sewing this.
I know.
But honestly, we
I could probably get my mom to do it. I mean, is it
That's what Ron was doing.
So,
400.
150, I bet.
Probably 150, I'd say
I
now.
got, I probably know lady.
Okay.
None of it. Watch your none.
The sewer shop will be to do that.
but my thoughts on, I mean, sewing that, I wish it was sewn. I wish it was sewn. If we don't allow the earbuds, that's gonna take a lot. If we don't allow the earbuds or watches, that's gonna take a lot, because they know they can't have this out. And if they do, then they're coming to me. Just like anything else, whether that's sewn or not, there's nothing saying they don't take their backpack, you know, they don't go in the bathroom and they pull it out and they.
So that's gonna happen.
That's definitely gonna happen.
But we're also looking, it's not, it wasn't part of the handbook stuff, because we haven't zeroed in on it, but we are looking to address bathroom passes, whether that's, I've got a webinar next week
We
with
set up a
with
webinar,
company.
we already have a kid account here that we're using, and they use something called Hall Pass. And so that allows us to really monitor where kids are and what's going on, how many times they're, just all kinds of stuff, so.
So we're looking
gonna
at,
talk to
what can we do to
them.
kind of take, control some of the bathroom pass stuff a little bit, so that nothing's gonna be 100%.
On this policy, I mean, it says basically stays in your backpack all day, right? I mean, is there a value,
Yeah, this should be in your backpack.
is there a value to saying, okay, when it's at lunchtime, you can have your phone,
We
or?
kind of wanted to bring that up and see
Or
where you all sit.
if you're at wolf time?
Not wolf time, I don't,
Yeah,
not a fan of wolf time, but
wolf time.
I'm just
But
asking.
yeah, but
Well,
we did,
I
we
think
did bring
lunch.
that up.
we've talked quite a bit
The
about.
only
this.
thing I see, the one thing I would say about if we could amend it to, okay, if you wanna have your phone out at lunch, by all means. I think that opens the door, at least to show that we're not wanting you to just, leave your phone at home, but we just don't want it to be a distraction during class. And that's my.
You know, there's a lot of
thought.
research out there about it. Some of it that I've read just talks about the freedom that a kid feels when they don't have their phone at all. Like, once they get used to that, it's really nice to just, they know nobody else is on it, and I'm not on it, and I get to just be a kid. So there's, I mean, I could go either way on that, because I get that, giving them a chance to be on it, but I don't know. We could go, Doug and I have talked about this
I think you could go
extensively,
either
and
way.
I could truly go either way. I think there's good points to both
Yeah.
sides, so
So-
I don't know what the answer is truly.
One of the, I should say, benefits is to allowing it during lunch that I thought of, just minimizing like
Restroom.
bathroom discipline.
Yeah.
When the kids all want to go to the bathroom during lunch, we get too many people in there, or whatever, and they're in there for too long, stuff just happens.
Yep.
Because they feel like they've got to go hide.
Hi,
To do it,
you
yes.
get on the phone, if you openly allow them to have it at the lunch table,
But I'm really, we were talking about it, I could go either way on the lunchtime thing.
I'm more of a go to the lunchtime, only because me as a parent, I know other parents talk to their kids during the day. You know, it's usually not anything like pressing, but it might be, hey, I'm gonna pick you up tonight, or grandma's gonna come pick you up tonight, just so you can get a message to them, and you know as a parent, you know, well, I go to lunch at 11, make sure I get a message to them by 11, they can check it and get back to me.
The only other comment, and I talked to Doug about this a little bit, is coming to school with it in the morning. What about kids who are here at 6:45 or 7 o'clock for a meeting, and they forget a textbook and they need to send, I mean, just throwing out there, they need to send a message to mom, says, hey, on your way to work, can you send me, bring my book to me? That's good.
I think there's something in there, like, if there's something where they need to use their phone, and they come to the office and use it in front of me. that
There
sort of
is,
thing.
yeah.
I think there was something in there, like, there are those cases where, and then we may just provide them a phone where they can call their parents.
So that's
But
what we
if, but
did.
if they need to use it, then they can come to me. We're also, one of the things we got, think about too, is those kids who need phones for like blood sugars and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Now, I have had kids, I've had students that utilize that to read their blood sugars, but I never saw their phone out in class. Because you're not checking your blood sugar 15 times a day. My wife's been diabetic for, 35 years.
No,
And so-
those, generally those that have that
Yeah.
have an alert that tells them when they need to look at it. They don't have to just look at it.
And there may be
But
time.
they will have to not have it in a pouch, and that would fall under their.
But that's gotta come
their
through.
medical.
That would be an exception, and, well, I wanted to have a conversation with them, and ideally a parent, to let them know what the expectations are. And if there was something medical that required that student to use their phone to contact home, they need to be with the nurse that does that. And so, that way, it takes a lot of the guesswork off the teachers on, are they using that phone for valid
Should they
reason
be
or not?
using their?
Well, and we gotta make sure that your teacher, your staff is enforcing it.
Yeah.
you know.
That's-
That's with anything, that's dress code, cell
There's
phones.
all of it, yes.
Yeah.
Give
A
it
to
the,
Z.
give it the policy change,
Yes,
Yeah.
motion to approve
motion.
the change to policy.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Mrs. Wells.
Do we want to, we're gonna look at getting these sewn up?
I can make a,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll look at it, yep. I think we may have someone that can help us out right off the bat.
We,
Any further discussion?
I don't know what the.
Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0.
And then we'll very
So
possibly
that'll be a,
tweak this.
that'll be a change.
Yes.
That's just ours, Jeannie. So
What I don't
when we
know-
get that written, we'll have to put that in our policy
Thinking out
book
loud.
and actually
Is if we
staple it
put
in there.
holes in that,
Because that's a change
is that going for
from
some, is that
MCE
going
to
to impact
just Newburg.
effectiveness?
Yeah.
Probably not for just.
I'll get you a copy and we'll
So-
get it, and then you'll put the adopted.
When you look at your policy book,
Yeah,
you'll
it could be,
slide that
yeah,
in
it's
there
good thought.
in its place.
Now,
I don't
have
have
we,
a policy book.
did we agree with the lunchtime thing for
You need one.
kids?
Yeah.
Or did we agree to that,
It's on my
or?
list to figure
Oh, I
out where
don't
it's
know.
at, but I don't have one.
MCE will send you.
Hold on, Doug, did we clarify, because I think we were gonna be okay with using that lunchtime? I don't know if our policy states that or not.
The policy that was wrote does not state
So
that.
we may
Or
have to
written,
use
you
something.
can't.
I don't think it was, I don't think it.
It just says that
During the instructional day, does that give us leeway? That's not instructional time, maybe?
okay, I'm okay with it, as long as we can define it, I'm okay with that, I just wanna make sure that we're,
And as long as we're all okay, and you point that out, that instructional time is this, during lunchtime is acceptable.
Say within about lunchtime.
Now, I don't want them to say, well, I was done with my assignment in algebra.
No,
No.
Right, I mean, I
No.
think we have to be
But-
very careful
But
there.
class changes in instructional time either, but we don't want about a class change.
no, it's gotta be like lunch.
Lunchtime.
Yeah,
Specific.
specific.
so we might just have to amend that a little bit to say lunch period only.
How we apply it.
That would be,
I think it's got enough discrepancy in the wording that we can just imply that we allow lunchtime.
So then we create a procedure, and that's how we
do
do
we
it.
need to address then?
Because the elementary-
We're gonna do that, the other side of it is Wi-Fi into it, my goodness.
I'm talking to you about the Wi-Fi end of it right now.
That's a whole different thing.
Now, the ball field's always open, right?
Ours is currently open completely right now.
That's a whole different
Our
story.
Wi-Fi is wide open right now.
Now,
Restriction.
one thing that we can do if we want to restrict that, because generally, well, no, because if your parents are up there, they're gonna need to have.
I think we'll go with this policy.
We just have to go over the
We
TV
can adjust,
right now.
tweak it as we
People
go.
could
It's
ask.
gonna have to be, it's gonna be a,
Tweak it as
it's
we
about like
go.
our budget, we're gonna have to work on
Be
it.
a living
all.
document the whole time.
It's gonna be a living document, we can adjust as needed, make changes.
But it's a good step in the right
It's
direction.
a
to
step
say
in the
we're
right, no,
gonna-
it's a great step in the
really
right
is.
direction, I'm beyond good.
I
So
think
we
other
wanna
fiscal
make sure-
schools are going to this too, and so I'm sure there'll be ongoing
There
conversations
are,
about
there
how's
are,
that working.
okay, let him.
Yes.
How's that working?
Yes.
What, you know.
Now, you said that is the pouch that Dixon is using.
Dixon just went to that.
Okay.
Good enough.
Other schools have.
Yeah, Lincoln's using a
It's just
different one,
time.
but I didn't like the reviews I read on it.
You hear me wrong.
These reviews are better, so we wanted to test them.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
Is that what you emailed?
Okay.
I just go look at my email.
Yeah, you can just read it.
Get that, Jeannie, that we approve that? For our next meeting, it's actually supposed to be the 15th. That is our open house. So last year, we did not have it the night of our open house because it's just too hectic. So is everybody okay moving it to the next week, which would be the 22nd?
Now, beyond regular meeting, yes, tax hearing is.
Yes.
is separate, correct? Because that's gotta be, so it won't follow that way. Will it? Tax hearing, I think that's too far. No, it might, yeah, it will be,
I can't remember.
because
About-
election
we
day
got a
will
webinar.
be
When's election?
6th, right? It's on a Tuesday, it's first Tuesday.
August 6th.
So it's
Yeah.
the 6th. And that puts us
The 20th
two
would be the
plus,
latest.
yeah, 2 weeks plus 2 days.
It's too far.
Because it's gotta be within 14 days.
14.
I think that's why we always.
Can we meet just for the tax hearing on the meet the teacher night?
We can.
Wednesday.
We could just to do that and get out of the way, then we're not pulled away from parents and students too much.
That takes 10 minutes.
5 minutes, right.
We can do the tax hearing on the 15th. Do our regular board meeting on the 22nd?
What were you saying about a
Or
work?
50, that's fine.
We're
We'll come back to that, Tommy. I'm
Can we
coming
not
back. Come back to that.
We can do the tax rate.
The 7th.
Why can't we do that on our workshop?
Is that gonna have it ready by
Hang
then?
on. Wait, when
Gives
do
you a
we-
whole day.
When do we have a workshop?
You know, you forget from year to year how that's done, and I have a webinar on the 30th, so.
It's gonna be fresh.
And you want it done by the 7th. I don't need to sleep. It's all right. I took a vacation.
2, I thought.
Took 2, I think.
I took 2.
Not that we keep track of it.
2 vacations. I did.
Were you floating in your pool with palm trees?
So what time is that?
We were in the mountains. We
I saw that.
went from cold to hot to cold to hot. We played by the snow. It was good stuff.
Okay, so no 15th?
I don't know.
We're still.
If
See,
you wanna
the
do it on
thing
the
is,
7th, I'll make it
the
happen.
thing
I'll
is,
make
the
it
election happens on that day. I don't know that our numbers are gonna stay the same, but are you gonna get them from the people? I don't think that's.
You can't get that fast.
I can't. I won't.
I don't think you're gonna get it from Phelps County that fast.
Can we push the study?
But we need to have a meeting pretty quick in August to do a hire.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why we picked, that's why we picked the 7th.
What, and is that at 6:30 done?
Phone conference or
I don't
something.
have it.
For the tax.
Yeah, I don't have
No,
anything.
it's
I don't
7th.
care.
Is it
I'm
at
asking.
6:30?
We haven't talked about it yet.
Oh,
That's all we're on here.
no, you're fine.
We're still trying to figure out the board meeting.
We'll go
Are
to
we good,
Wednesday.
are we good with having lunch, regular lunch? Are we good with having regular board meeting on the 22nd?
Yes.
Okay, so let's set
I
that.
might be late, but yeah.
Let's set that date.
Okay.
So we'll have to make a motion for that, correct? Because it's actually changing that day.
We never have
Okay.
for the meeting, but we can.
We don't have to, we just accept it if it's the regular schedule, right? But I think we have to make a motion to change it.
I believe we're supposed to.
We didn't last time when we changed it this month.
But we can. I'm good with
I
making.
don't know why I had that in my mind, but I thought we were supposed to if it's not the regularly scheduled time. Well, I mean, I've been
In my
doing it wrong
experience, we have
forever.
never, but that doesn't mean
I
we're
mean,
never.
let's just don't break the law. Let's just don't- Yes. That's what I thought too.
We probably do, just because.
I'll make a motion that we
public-
move the regularly scheduled meeting to the 22nd.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Birdsong, second Mr. Shear, to move our regular scheduled meeting in August from the 15th to the 22nd,
Yes.
again at 6:30. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Now we need to set our tax rate hearing for which will be within 14 days of the election. So
I threw out the 15th. Did we think that was not a good idea?
So that was open house?
that is open house.
What time is open house?
4:30 to 7?
It just takes 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think we just step in here and do it when it's 6:30 if
Yeah.
that was okay.
Just be done.
Because it just, and they don't have to come. You know,
Yeah.
it's just a quick thing, but then nobody's pulled away from parents or
First day is
staff.
too much.
20th.
Get pretty clogged up.
Yeah, I just, 15's fine. Okay, so tax rate,
6:30?
15 6 or 6:30, what, you wanna keep it the same as we have been, so we don't get,
I can be here at 6:30 in the morning, Doug, you don't mind.
me too. Some of these guys can't, do it.
Let's start having a cake after 8:30.
Yeah.
4 in the morning.
Yeah, Matt can be here at 3 in the morning, the guy gets up at 2.
6 probably wouldn't be
So-
here. Chuck would be mad at it.
So,
Chuck would be mad at you, yes, he would.
tax rate hearing 15th, 6:30 in the evening.
Okay.
Won't last very long.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it. Now we need to have a meeting, special, that'll be a special meeting too, so that, we'll have to post it separate. It'll just be the tax rate hearing. We also need a meeting as soon as we can for a hire for August. And we sent, I think Tracy sent out a text, email, I think, discussing that. Some of you responded back to that and said that August 7th worked well. Does that work well for everybody here tonight?
Missed that email, but I think I'm okay on all this.
Is August 7th okay with you?
That was my Friday update last week.
6:30?
Yeah, it was in the.
Maybe the week
Friday.
before. It was the week before, because this Friday.
That's the night that they're working here, so do you want, what time is your work session over?
On the 7th, it's just a daytime 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna try to start that early, like at 6?
That'd be great. 5. I don't know how you all can do it, but it'd be helpful to them because it's a long week, you know.
Yeah.
So-
The earlier the better on the 7th, so how early can you be here the 7th? Could you be here the 7th?
I can be here at 6:30 that morning.
I can make it.
I think a lot of that falls on Matt, he's the one.
I can be here at 5. We're starting early enough for
Yeah, I
5.
can
Can you
too.
do 5?
You
I
said
can.
4?
Yeah, I can do that.
Can you do 5? Okay,
If
so we'll set
I'm not
it.
at work, I can do
If I have a
anything.
forum, it smells like a goat.
I might know that. I can do 6:30 that
Okay,
day.
5.
No, but by the end of the day.
He does.
5 o'clock work?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were in concrete, this is not the goat.
So we'll do that, 5 o'clock.
Side note,
The 15th is,
No, never been doing enough of it.
do I need to be here for that special meeting or the tax rate meeting?
wouldn't have to be,
No?
we can keep those. for
Well, I mean,
those.
I don't care,
There
I
won't-
just
there won't
wanna
be
make
any-
sure.
It'd be a working session for the 7th, it really won't be any motions to take,
Well, except for. the
except for
The
one
hire.
hire, but, well, we can do that.
Okay.
Probably very educational and would be okay with you being
Especially if you had some.
Way to throw that out there,
pickle
man.
green beans.
there. We get their own hot pickles.
I bring cookies or like blueberry muffins, but
Hey, now we're talking.
We're not gonna turn any of that down.
No.
I mean, it'd be better if you left the blueberries out of the blueberry muffins.
Hard to call them that, isn't it?
If it,
strawberry muffins?
no,
No.
if it ends in berry, no.
No. Banana?
Yes,
Zucchini muffins?
yes.
That's what my daughter made today, zucchini muffins.
If it ends in berry though, no.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Blueberry, blackberry, walnut berry.
What kind of person doesn't like
You're not there either, right?
Commies.
Love the smell of strawberries.
I
No,
I started where I can
Not
actually
anymore.
strawberry a little bit if it's covered in white chocolate. Just being honest.
Okay.
Covered strawberry this big, that the strawberry's this big.
Let's go over the dates and make sure I get it right. We're doing a special board meeting on the
Thank you
7th,
very much.
at 5 o'clock,
Yes.
correct? We're doing a tax rate hearing only on the 15th at 6:30. And we're doing our regular school board meeting on the 22nd. at 6:30,
Correct.
correct?
No, I've seen that.
Okay,
I most likely will not.
so we need a motion to go into executive, please.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Birdsong, second, Mr. Thompson, do a roll call.
Yes.
Yes? Yes?
Going into closed.
Closed? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay. We're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zane.
Yep.
Are you done?